Chapter 1176. The colossal force of moving mountains and overturning seas struck the wall, producing a thunderous roar that shook heaven and earth, raising waves and surges of mana aftermath upon the wall's surface. Boom, boom, boom. The terrifying force without end was transferred to the ground by the earthen wall, forming layered concentric shocks, causing the earth to continuously crack and collapse with deafening sounds, and dust billowed into the air. Taoist, do you truly seek mutual destruction? White Peak Immortal's sea of consciousness was somewhat muddled. He bit his tongue hard, circulated his cultivation technique, resisted the influence of the Thousand Faces puppet fox, and shouted loudly. However, in this instant, the shadow of the endless guileful head's ghost domain had already gradually spread, covering White Peak Immortal, another false core, foundation establishment, and Li Feiyu at a distance. A massive body with bulging muscles, resembling a small hill, the dark demon corpse appeared silently behind White Peak Immortal, its fist deep as an abyss and carrying roll corpse evil chi as it hammered down thunderously. Immortal, save me. Immortal, the two people who were enveloped by the endless ghost domain cried out to White Peak Immortal. Li Feiyu, who originally had an expressionless face and seemed slightly stunned, also seemed to gradually recover consciousness, his face showing a look of horror, not knowing what was going on. All he remembered was White Peak Immortal imposing several prohibitions on him, intending to take him into the ancient relic site within the Myriad Beasts mountain range, and then through some exotic treasure, recreate the situation of that day. Third-order puppet, third-order corpse refinement. This man is simply a madman, run. At this moment, alarm bells rang wildly in the heart of White Peak Immortal, knowing that he was no match for Lu Changsheng. If this continued, his defeat was certain. Moreover, if the battle carried on like this, surely demon kings would come. If both were to be left injured, it would be troublesome if the demon king arrived. Nine-colored tribulation light. Lu Changsheng, realizing that White Peak Immortal wanted to flee, immediately unleashed his killer move without any reservations. Boom, boom, boom. Brilliant and splendid divine light burst forth from the chest of Lu Changsheng, like a cataclysm accountable for destroying all things erupted, overwhelming White Peak Immortal's divine skills together with the Thunder Gang Dragon Flame and the Dark Demon Corpse, shining down upon him. Danger. In an instant, a sense of impending death enveloped White Peak Immortal's mind. His magical robe flapped, light shimmering around him, his protective spiritual shield operating at its limit. An ancient-looking jade talisman appeared in his hand, wishing to use the talisman to escape. Thinking of escaping? Yin-Yang Domain. Noticing the talisman in his opponent's hand as some kind of teleportation charm for escaping, Lu Changsheng coldly snorted, surging, extraordinary mana erupted out, the terrifying spiritual pressure causing distortion in the space around them. Yin-Yang energies flowed around his body, spreading wildly as if both sun and moon were moving in unison, gradually forming a yin-yang Taoist chart, sealing heaven and earth. The law domain had little effect on a nascent soul cultivator of the same realm, but Lu Changsheng had a yin-yang great path golden core, making his law domain far stronger than that of ordinary people, also possessing the power to seal the heavens and earth, restricting others. At the same time. 6 Desires Heart Demon Technique, 6 Senses Locking Heart. In Lu Changsheng's sea of consciousness, the Tai divine soul resembling a golden figure was faintly visible within his brow, an invisible and formless shadow striking towards White Peak Immortal. CTH Ovalfire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Buzz, the body of White Peak Immortal suddenly stiffened, his mental spirit sinking, as if the nascent soul of Azure Phoenix Immortal had returned, reigning supreme over the world, crushing his being. No good. White Peak Immortal roared in his mind, his liver and gallbladder wanting to split apart, forcefully biting on his tongue, nearly severing it. Boom. However, by the time he broke free from the illusion, the 9-colored tribulation light and the Thunder Gang Dragon Flame had already engulfed him, his entire body shattered, his organs destroyed, life extinguished. You, who on earth are you? The body of White Peak Immortal was charred, his flesh indistinct, his organs shattered, his voice hoarse as he spoke. He felt that Lu Changsheng before him did not come for the ancient relic site. If it were for the secret of the relic site, there was no need at all to fight against him like this. Even if Lu Changsheng's combat ability was far superior to his, he could see that Lu Changsheng, by fighting like this and using certain methods, had to pay a certain price. Paying such a price in the Myriad Beasts mountain range just to kill him, it was completely nonsensical. Lu Changsheng did not speak. The Thunder Gang Dragon Flame, fierce and wild, turned the other's body to ashes. As a nascent soul immortal, the methods were extraordinary. The opponent's life was utterly extinguished, but there was still a breath of essence energy. Immortal. This. It's over. The three people within the endless ghost domain, witnessing this scene, all had expressions of horror and disbelief. They all knew the identity and strength of this yellow-robed elder. He was the current master of the Azure Phoenix Immortal City, a nascent soul immortal held in high esteem. But such an immortal, whom they usually looked up to and knelt before, was actually killed by someone. And in such a short time, he was killed, turned to ashes. Looking at Lu Changsheng, who seemed both divine and demonic, as their hearts were overturning seas and rivers, a sense of despair emerged, knowing that they were doomed to die today. Go! Lu Changsheng clenched onto White Peak Immortal's true elixir and storage ring, and the yin-yang hand in the sky dome gathered the opponent's mountain magical treasures. He then swept his divine sense over, sweeping up the 9 small arrows, and commanded the endless guileful head to quickly leave with the 3 others. He faintly sensed that a demon king was about to rush here, and in his current state, he was not suited for another battle with a demon king. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1177, Azure Phoenix Immortal City. Within the splendid palace, a woman in silver robes and purple hair, with a beautiful appearance, sat cross-legged. Suddenly, she opened her eyes wide, an incredible surge of mana erupting from her. How is this possible? She gently lifted her fair hand, staring at the soul plate in her hand covered in cracks. Her expression changed drastically, her eyes filled with surprise, suspicion, and disbelief. She then transformed into a streak of rainbow light, shooting out and arriving in front of a grand hall on Qinghuan Peak, inquiring about the condition of White Peak Immortal. Upon confirming that White Peak Immortal was not there and had gone out with someone, her beautiful face suddenly turned extremely ugly, her purple pupils flashing with shades of worry and fear. White Peak had been at core formation for hundreds of years, with profound foundations. How could he suddenly fall? Could it be that White Peak wanted to fake his death, to take the opportunity to break away from the control of the Purple Light sect? No, White Peak has not yet obtained what he wants. Even if he breaks away from the control of the Purple Light sect, it would be meaningless. Sitting in Azure Phoenix Immortal City, he might still have a chance to break through the late stage of core formation. The silver-robed woman's face went from cloudy to clear, still unwilling to believe the fact of White Peak Immortal's death. If White Peak is not feigning death, but was killed by someone, or encountered some accident, the silver-robed woman clenched her hands tightly, her expression somber, then immediately went to the core of the Immortal City, taking charge of the Third Order Forbidden Formation in case someone took the opportunity to cause trouble in the city. At the same time, she crushed one transmission jade talisman after another. Half a month later, several streaks of rainbow light arrived at the ancient relic site in the Myriad Beasts mountain range. They all exuded mana spiritual pressure of the core formation level, extremely terrifying. Indeed, there are signs of magical combat. It seems White Peak must have fallen here. This trace, it must have been done by cultivators. White Peak was no ordinary strength, and ordinary cultivators in the late stage of core formation would have found it difficult to kill him. Yet now he has died here. Could it be that White Peak encountered danger within the relics, hence he was ambushed opportunistically? The few people stared at the sunken ground before them, filled with cracks and scorched black, with extremely solemn expressions. Even though they were all of formidable strength, they did not dare to say that they could triumph over White Peak Immortal. This is corpse energy. Could it be from the Heavenly Corpse sect, the aura of the Dark Demon Corpse? At this moment, a core formation cultivator walked over to inspect the ground, catching a familiar trace of corpse energy, and spoke out. No, it's not just a single type of corpse energy. Besides the dark demon corpse, there is also another strange and sinister type of corpse energy. This aura is richer than the dark demon corpse. Moreover, there should also be a young, powerful, and somewhat thunderous flame divine skill. Another person executed divine skills, using magic treasures to investigate the situation, making analytical judgments. The dark demon corpse, could it be that the brats from the Heavenly Corpse sect joined forces with others to kill White Peak Immortal? Instantly someone spoke, their expression sharp and filled with a cold murderous intent. We can't rule out this possibility. Years ago, the sect hierarch of the Heavenly Corpse sect and the Five Poisons cult leader wanted to take action. Now with Azure Phoenix Immortal missing, they might see Azure Phoenix Immortal City as a breakthrough point. These demon brats are courting death. These two corpse energies and flame divine skills should not come from the same person, at least two people. However, they managed to kill White Peak. Their strength and methods are not simple. The spirit-taming sect had a cultivator at the late stage of core formation emerge not long ago, causing an uproar in the Myriad Beasts mountain range, almost triggering a beast tide. Could they also be related to these demon path? After inspecting the scene, the few people discussed in turn. These demon brats are really rampant. I will report this matter to the true monarch, and make sure these demon brats will not return. A white-clothed core formation cultivator with an imposing air, like an unparalleled heavenly sword, said coldly. Even though White Peak Immortal was not closely related to their heavenly sword sect. But in the past 2 years, Jiang country had seen repeated troubles caused by the demon path, which was a provocation to the majesty of their heavenly sword sect. After discussing the matter of White Peak Immortal, the people then turned their attention to the heavenly stone wall in front of the valley. From prior news, they knew that White Peak Immortal had come to the Myriad Beasts mountain range for this ancient relic site. And before Azure Phoenix Immortal left the Immortal City, he had explored this ancient relic site. Myriad Beasts mountain range, within a newly opened underground cave mansion. Phew. Lu Changxing opened his eyes and exhaled a long breath of turbid energy, feeling that his condition had recovered quite a bit. He slightly raised his palm and White Peak Immortal's storage ring appeared in his hand. He had checked the storage ring for suspicious items right away and had not yet conducted a detailed investigation. Now that his essence, chi, and spirit had recovered, it was naturally time for the enjoyable part of reaping the rewards. This person, as a veteran core formation cultivator, actually has 3 magic treasures. These 9 small arrows, if it wasn't for my awakening of the Tai soul body, with the Tai divine soul, I would have almost been hit at that time. Although this small mountain is a life-bound magic treasure, after reforging it and mixing in some refining crystal, it will be very good for smashing people. Lu Changxing examined the 9 dark black small arrows and a fist-sized white gold miniature mountain in his hand. He had witnessed the power of these 2 magical treasures. Especially the 9 dark black small arrows, which could kill without a trace and were shocking to the soul, making them extremely difficult to defend against. As for the small white gold mountain, it was firm and heavy, with offensive and defensive abilities, its power comparable to a superior quality treasure. Sar the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Although it was White Peak Immortal's life-bound magic treasure and he could only unleash part of its power. With his third-order body refining, he could employ a simplistic method to make this magical treasure catch the opponent off guard during a fight. Mainly because he, as a core formation immortal, did not yet have an offensive magical treasure and could only rely on brute force divine skills in combat. If it were not for having the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus as his second Dantian, enduring such consumption would be truly unbearable. Resulting in being weak and burdened after each fight, requiring a long time to recuperate and cultivate. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1178. As for the third magical treasure of White Peak Immortal, it was an escape artifact. This magical treasure was also prepared by White Peak Immortal for himself. Since Lu Changxing owned the Starlight Plate, he did not need it. Moreover, Lu Changxing planned to craft a pair of flying wing magical treasures for himself after returning, using the wings of the wind thunderhound and the feathers of the fire phoenix-tailed sparrow. In this way, his speed when escaping danger could be improved to another level. Originally, White Peak Immortal also had a fourth magical robe, which was the yellow robe he wore. But under the relentless onslaught of Lu Changsheng's nine-colored tribulation light, Thunder Gang Dragon Flame, the endless ghost domain, and the dark demon corpse, this magical robe was directly damaged. Besides the three magical treasures, Lu Changsheng also saw a spiritual eye spring in White Peak Immortal's storage ring. Then, in terms of spirit stones, it was an eye-opener for Lu Changsheng. He did a quick calculation. 112 superior-grade spirit stones. 1,724 middle-grade spirit stones. 35,261 lower-grade spirit stones. This was the first time Lu Changsheng had seen so many spirit stones. Even at his wealthiest, he only had a little over 300,000 spirit stones on him. Compared with a nascent soul immortal, a demon king is simply a pauper. Lu Changsheng couldn't help but remark. Although the cave mansion of a third-rank demon king may contain heavenly and earthly treasures, their value would not be very high. Generally, spiritual flowers and unusual fruits and rare spiritual medicines would have been consumed by the demon king early on. What remained were mostly growing spirit ores and spirit plants that were either still maturing or inedible. But unless there are some rare heavenly and earthly treasures or heaven and earth spiritual plants, they aren't really worth much. Therefore, the most valuable thing about a demon king is itself, its flesh, bones, and demon core, all of which have high value. Lu Changsheng looked at the storage ring, continuing to clean up and inventory various heaven and earth spiritual materials and rare spiritual medicines he found, as well as 2 core formation spiritual objects. Although core formation spiritual objects were of no use to a nascent soul cultivator. But if willing to sell them, countless foundation establishment cultivators would be ready to serve. Moreover, Lu Changsheng had many wives, concubines, children, and so on at home, so there was always a great demand for foundation establishment spirit objects and core formation spiritual objects. TSK, this haul is a big win. No, it's a huge profit, it's way more lucrative than killing a demon king. Lu Changsheng counted the items one by one, his face showing a hint of a smile. Sarch * the novel, F. Iyer. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. What is this? At this moment, Lu Changsheng saw a plain and unadorned bead that felt heavy and cold in his hand. After examining it for a moment, he guessed it must be an exotic treasure. He tried to activate it with his mana. The black bead immediately began flowing with ripples, displaying a pale silvery sheen. As Lu Changsheng held the silver glittering stone bead in his palm, it reflected light in all directions. The scenery around him became incredibly clear, even as if to see through the cave's formation stone walls and look outside. This exotic treasure possesses an effect somewhat similar to the fire golden eye, being able to pierce through illusions. It must have been forged from the eye of some kind of demon beast. Previously, after killing the golden-eyed fire ape, Lu Changsheng had thought about turning its eyeballs into a spiritual artifact capable of discerning falsehoods. Because his family was about to establish a business association, they needed such a treasure. Now that he had this stone bead, it saved him some effort. He continued to operate the exotic treasure to test whether the effect of this eyeball was stronger or weaker than his fire golden eye. The black bead's silver radiance flowed, and in this moment, the pupil seemed to be on the verge of opening, reviving with vitality. However, at this time, operating the eyeball not only required mana but also chi blood and essence energy to truly revive its power. Buzz! Without hesitation, Lu Changsheng channeled his own chi blood into the eyeball. Suddenly, the pupil vibrated, runes interweaved and flowed, forming a golden beam of light with the silver sheen, piercing through the distant stone wall and causing the stone wall to crack, while the small reversed 5 elements array's spiritual light flickered. Not bad in terms of effect, but the upper limit is a bit low. Lu Changsheng shook his head in some regret. The original owner of this eyeball must have been quite extraordinary, more powerful than the golden-eyed fire ape. However, the person who forged this stone bead into an exotic treasure might have done so for a junior member of their family, or for some other reason. As a result, even a Foundation establishment cultivator could use it, but this caused the power limit to be far less than that of his fire golden eye. However, it's still good as an exotic treasure. It just so happens that my family can use it. If it were a magical treasure, my family wouldn't be able to utilize this eyeball. After pondering briefly, Lu Changxing understood that turning such an eyeball into a magical treasure would be very difficult and troublesome. It would require many auxiliary materials, and the effect might not be ideal. It's simpler and more cost-effective to lower the requirements and forge it into an exotic treasure instead. After putting the eyeball into his storage ring, Lu Changxing didn't find too many more surprises. But this harvest was still the largest one Lu Changxing had gained since he started cultivating. Spirit stones, heavenly and earthly treasures, spiritual medicines and plants, pill and talisman scriptures, magical treasures and exotic treasures. The total value was definitely around 4 to 5 million spirit stones. After all, just the spirit stones alone amounted to over 130 million. And the 3 magical treasures were all top grade, which are hard to value in spirit stones. Plus, there was a pile of rare heavenly and earthly treasures. Lu Changxing even wondered if White Peak Immortal had just made a big score through the Azure Phoenix Immortal City. After all, though a nascent soul immortal is rich, there is a limit. And most cultivators would not carry too many spirit stones or heavenly and earthly treasures on them. Generally, they spend what they have to enhance their own abilities. Afterward, Lu Changxing took out 2 storage bags and a spiritual pet bag. These were from the individuals suppressed within the endless ghost domain. Lu Changxing took a quick look. The storage bag of the false core immortal did have some money. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1179, excluding his life-bound magic treasure, all the spirit stones, spiritual artifacts, and heavenly and earthly treasures totaled to nearly 300,000 spirit stones. But compared to White Peak Immortal, it was hardly worth mentioning. As for the storage bag of the Foundation establishment cultivator, it did bring Lu Changxing a few delightful surprises, containing a core formation spiritual object. Sir the Novel Fire, net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Even though it was a lower-tier core formation spiritual object, it was still worth 50 to 60,000 spirit stones. Adding everything together, the total gains were roughly 100,000 spirit stones. This silver-winged golden falcon is quite remarkable. At that moment, Lu Changxing turned his attention to the spiritual pet bag. Inside was a falcon with fierce eyes, a majestic and mighty posture, and smooth, closely set feathers gleaming with threads of golden luster. The demonic power emanating from it was about at the 2nd rank late stage. However, taming such a fierce demon beast as the falcon, even if it was previously domesticated and had a beast control token, would not be easy to turn to one's own use. It required time and effort to continuously tame it and gain its recognition. Otherwise, in the face of danger, such a demon beast was very likely to resist desperately until death. After tidying up the items, Lu Changxing's palm gently lifted, and the endless guileful head appeared. The endless ghost domain slowly opened, and 3 silhouettes emerged from inside. Among them, both the false core man and Foundation establishment man had become ghost slaves under the erosion of the endless guileful head, with greenish-gray rigid complexions and ink-black eyes devoid of any whites. As for Li Feiyu, a spiritual light flowed around him, protecting his physical body and soul. This endless guileful head is truly bizarre and sinister. Lu Changxing, eyeing the 2 ghost slaves before him, narrowed his eyes slightly. This was his first time using the endless guileful head to transform people into ghost slaves. After their transformation into ghost slaves, their mana had dropped a notch, and their movements had become much slower. However, their bodies had become much tougher than before. Lu Changxing had turned the 2 into ghost slaves not to enhance the combat strength of the endless guileful head. His main goal was to obtain memory information from them. Beings eroded by the endless guileful head into ghost slaves could have their memories read through it. Endless. Lu Changsheng's divine sense connected with the endless guileful head, attempting to read the memories of the two. Hoo. Suddenly, the hair of the endless guileful head whipped wildly, its jet-black eyes like two black holes, stealing one's soul, as fragments of memories emerged before Lu Changsheng. This process was somewhat similar to that of the abyssal ghoul blossom. Memories were chaotic fragments. Many memory details had been lost during the erosion process of the endless guileful head, and finding useful information required a powerful divine sense and sufficient patience. After a long while, Lu Changsheng obtained some useful information from the memory fragments of the two. Both of them were subordinates of the Azure Phoenix Immortal, having entered the Myriad Beasts mountain range ancient relic site before. However, they were unclear about the core area of the relic site, as only Li Feiyu and Azure Phoenix Immortal had entered it. Based on their earlier explorations and surveys with the Azure Phoenix Immortal, this relic was likely to be the ruins of an ancient sect, or its sanctuary, treasury, filled with many rare spiritual objects. The departure of Azure Phoenix Immortal from the Azure Phoenix Immortal city had a significant connection to the gains from these ancient relics, suspected of obtaining the infant transformation elixir. Behind White Peak Immortal was suspected to be the Purple Light sect of Yu Country. The forces that divided the interests of the Azure Phoenix Immortal city, apart from the Purple Light sect of Yu Country, included the Spirit Taming sect of Jiang Country, as well as several Immortal sect-affiliated commercial guilds and powers. After all, it does not look good for the Immortal sects to be directly involved in such matters, so they would act through spokespeople and affiliated powers. I did not expect this relic to be so complicated. Lu Changsheng muttered to himself, understanding why White Peak Immortal went through such great lengths. However, he had no intention of exploring this relic. One reason was that it required a specific token or memento. He did not possess this token or memento. Secondly, the relic was incredibly dangerous. Indeed, Azure Phoenix Immortal likely sustained injuries in this secret realm, suffering many casualties in the process. Immediately after, Lu Changsheng looked towards his good friend Li Feiyu. He had previously checked on him and knew that his friend had endured many tortures and had suffered to his core. Just now, through the memories of the two, he was even clearer about the tortures Li Feiyu had faced over the past year. Healing divine light. Lu Changsheng took a deep breath, circulating his life-bound treasured bone, and from his chest burst forth a dazzling life divine light, enveloping Li Feiyu. HNG. Under the surging vast essence energy and mana, Li Feiyu let out a muffled hum from his mouth, coughing up a mouthful of congestion, while the internal injuries in his body visibly healed at a visible speed to the naked eye. Buzz. Lu Changsheng's chest shone brilliantly, with intricate and profound runes interweaving, containing indescribable mi powers, flowing like water into Li Feiyu's body. A moment later, Li Feiyu's breathing became even, and his eyes slowly opened, regaining clarity. He suddenly looked up with a surprised and incredulous expression towards Lu Changsheng. Bang! Seeing Li Feiyu awaken, Lu Changsheng clicked his fingers, tapping the back of his head. Li Feiyu immediately rolled his eyes back and fell unconscious once more. Feiyu, sorry about this. A while later, once Li Feiyu's physical injuries were mostly healed, Lu Changsheng began to circulate the Six Desires Heart Demon technique, preparing to alter Li Feiyu's recent memories. Although he did not use his true appearance, he had displayed all his techniques when killing White Peak Immortal. If someone were to encounter Li Feiyu, they might discover some clues through him. Moreover, with the other three dead and only Li Feiyu remaining, such a situation was too peculiar. Therefore, for the sake of security, Lu Changsheng decided to modify this part of the memories. Six Desires Heart Demon Technique, Six Senses Locking Heart. Lu Changsheng's eyes seemed like profound black holes, continuously spinning, with two streaks of black light entering Li Feiyu's sea of consciousness. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1180. In an instant, Lu Changsheng realized that there was an invisible barrier in Li Feiyu's mind, as if breaking through it would scatter his soul. This is spiritual soul prohibition. Lu Changxing immediately knew what was happening. This was a prohibition placed by Azure Phoenix Immortal on Li Feiyu's Sea of Consciousness, to prevent anyone from using soul-searching techniques on him. This technique was extremely exquisite and sophisticated. Had it not been for Lu Changxing awakening the Tai Chi soul body, his divine sense surpassing that of an ordinary core formation peak, he wouldn't dare to act recklessly at this moment. I only need to modify some of his short-term memories recently, there shouldn't be any problems. Lu Changsheng's expression tensed as a golden figure emerged from his brow's sea of consciousness, sending out a beam of soul light that pierced directly into Li Feiyu's sea of consciousness. Then he tried to modify his recent memories to those of the 4 people entering the ancient relic site. But as he did, he triggered a prohibition and was enveloped by a splendid divine light. Within it, the Foundation establishment man was annihilated by the beam, while Lu Changxing was healed by it and subsequently fell into unconsciousness. After a while, Lu Changxing opened his eyes, exhaled a breath of turbid energy, and carried Li Feiyu out of the cave, arriving outside the Myriad Beasts mountain range. He then placed the storage bag of the Foundation establishment man into Li Feiyu's hand. The latter was in a dire situation, without a storage bag and naturally without any elixir medicines or magic artifacts. Under such circumstances, encountering any danger might spell his end. Therefore, after Lu Changxing simply cleared out the Foundation establishment man's storage bag and took away the core formation spiritual objects, he left a few talismans inside, giving Li Feiyu a set of initial equipment. As for what the other party intended to do next, it was up to him to choose. After everything was done, Lu Changsheng's fate-defying robe shimmered with an invisible luster, blending him in with the void. Roughly a quarter of an hour later, Li Feiyu, who was lying on the ground, opened his eyes and cautiously said, where am I? My injuries have healed. He looked at his own body, his expression filled with surprise and joy. However, when he saw the storage bag in his hand, his expression immediately turned to one of shock and bewilderment. Isn't this Zhao Wei's storage bag? How did it end up in my hands? Wait a second. When entering the secret realm, it seems like a prohibition appeared. He turned to ash, and I inadvertently touched his storage bag? Li Feiyu touched his somewhat groggy head, feeling this memory to be very vague. After pondering for a moment, he didn't pay too much attention to it. He simply thought it to be White Peak Immortal's doing, damaging his divine sense and causing fragmented memories. He surveyed his surroundings and with fluctuating expressions, he mused, although I have luckily escaped with my life, if White Peak Immortal didn't obtain anything in the relic, he will certainly come looking for me. I definitely can't go back to Azure Phoenix Immortal City, no, under these circumstances, I can't stay in the Jiang country cultivation realm either. Li Feiyu's expression was grave, muttering to himself, knowing that he best not stay in the Jiang country cultivation realm. As for returning to Rui Prefecture, Bihu Lake Mountain, he did not even consider it. In his current state, if he returned, and White Peak Immortal became aware of it, it would surely bring endless trouble. He checked the storage bag with his divine sense and found several spiritual artifacts and immediately changed into a magical robe. Then, he altered his appearance and concealed his aura, transforming into an escape light and hurriedly left. Sigh, Lu Changxing watched the departing Li Feiyu and sighed. He had been fully focused on Li Feiyu's emotions with his divine sense. Although he wasn't able to completely grasp the other's thoughts and ideas, he roughly perceived a portion of his intentions. Li Feiyu had not given up on struggling in the outside world, nor on the idea of returning to Rui Prefecture. However, with Feiyu's temperament, he wouldn't choose to go back under these circumstances. Lu Changxing murmured to himself. In truth, he had long understood that Li Feiyu's reluctance to return home stemmed not only from an unwillingness to lead an ordinary life but also from a concern about bringing trouble home. After all, there are no lack of unscrupulous people in the cultivation world. And now that such an incident has occurred, it is even less likely that Li Feiyu would return. The world is like the tide, people are like water, only lamenting how few return to the rivers and lakes. Lu Changxing sighed softly, retracted his gaze, and looked towards the direction of Azure Phoenix Immortal City, murmuring to himself, now that White Peak Immortal is dead, the situation in Azure Phoenix Immortal City must be quite chaotic. After pondering for a moment, he gave up the idea of going to the Immortal City to fence his goods and make purchases. After all, White Peak Immortal had been in charge of Azure Phoenix Immortal City, which involved the power struggle between the upper echelons of Yu Country and Jiang Country, as well as the interests of the Purple Light sect. Now that White Peak Immortal is dead, the Purple Light sect will surely send people to Azure Phoenix Immortal City. Although he had been very careful, who knew whether these sects possessed some kind of method, thus, it was best to avoid going there as much as possible. Given that the Immortal City had a third-order forbidden formation, if he faced danger upon entering the city, Lu Changxing was not confident in his ability to cope. Since that's the case, let's go home. Lu Changxing looked at the 2 storage rings in his hand, a smile appearing on his face. The gains from this trip out could no longer be described as simply substantial. If he were to rely solely on his family's business, even after 100 years he would not earn as much. Furthermore, Heaven and Earth spiritual plants, spiritual vein origins, third-order demon pills, and top-grade magical treasures rarely circulated on the market for sale for spirit stones. Mostly, they were privately traded among nascent soul immortals, exchanging goods for goods, making it difficult to measure their value. CTH Novelfire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Right, I also have a daughter, Lu Changxing thought of Binger, who was still inside his spiritual pet bag. He immediately took out the crystal coffin and tapped on it. Bang! Instantly, the lid of the coffin was lifted, and a burst of icy cold air spilled out. Binger poked her little head out, her clear, flawless eyes looking at Lu Changxing with joy, exclaiming, "Daddy, I'm all rested." "Good, now that you're rested, Daddy will take you home," Lu Changxing said with a smile, knowing that she had been awake for a while, but since he hadn't called her, she obediently stayed put. Hearing this, Binger immediately jumped out of the crystal coffin, affectionately clung to Lu Changxing, gently rubbing her little head against him, eyes slightly squinted, and a look of comfortable enjoyment on her face. Hee hee. Lu Changxing fondly rubbed her little head and looked towards the myriad beasts' mountain range, slowly flying away. While he was indeed going home, he had only slain 4 demon kings so far. The essence, blood and soul of the golden-eyed fire ape had been used by him to awaken his Tai soul body. The remaining 3 demon kings, in his view, were still lacking. He was hoping to gather 1 or 2 more. So if any demon king carelessly sought trouble with him, he wouldn't mind slaying 1 or 2 more. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1181, 3 months later. Gazing down at the continuous mountain ranges shrouded in the array formation spiritual light, Lu Changxing saw the emerald lake of Bihu Lake Mountain, and a faint smile appeared on his face. Under normal circumstances, he would have been able to return within a month. However, he had taken some trouble to deal with 2 demon kings along the way, hence the delay. The radiant glow flowed around Lu Changxing's body, and his dignified face suddenly became more handsome and spirited, his tall and stalwart figure slightly more slender, making him look refined and elegant, like a noble pine amidst the breeze. Then, Lu Changxing looked towards Binger in his arms, gently lifted his palm, and with a flow of yin and yang energy, the disguise on Binger's face dissolved, revealing her exceptionally beautiful face, as if taken from a perfect painting. "Daddy." Binger, looking up at Lu Changxing's handsome face, tilted her head affectionately and called out like a little kitten nuzzling against him. "Well, be home soon. Remember what Daddy taught you before?" Lu Changxing touched her cold little head and spoke with a gentle voice. Previously, he had reverted to his true appearance and attempted to explain to Binger that he was not her father. But once she heard this, she immediately burst into tears, insisting that Daddy was Daddy, and that she would behave well. Lu Changxing really didn't know what to say and just went along with it. Emicham, home." Binger's eyes were clear and bright, almost dreamlike, as she looked excitedly at Bihu Lake Mountain below. Afterward, Lu Changxing held the token and silently entered Bihu Lake Mountain with Binger, arriving at Baiyun Peak. Husband, you're back." In the Lu family mansion, Lu Miaoyun, Chu Zhenzhen, Bai Ling, and a few others saw Lu Changsheng and immediately expressed delight. However, they had a somewhat strange expression upon seeing Binger, who was closely clinging to Lu Changsheng's arm. Wasn't their husband supposed to be hunting demon beasts in the Myriad Beasts mountain range? Why did he bring back a woman? But it seemed natural for their husband to be captivated by such an exceptional beauty. This woman was picture-perfect, like a fantasy dream, except her skin was too pale. In fact, it was almost pallid, spoiling her beautiful charm. And those eyes, so clear and pure, radiated an innocent naivety, giving her a guileless air. Daddy. When Binger saw so many people looking at her, she couldn't help feeling a bit restrained and called out to Lu Changsheng. Daddy? Lu Miaohuan, Lu Miaoyun, and the others were stunned to hear Binger calling Lu Changsheng daddy, somewhat baffled. What was happening? This woman wasn't a new concubine that their husband picked up during his adventures, but his daughter? When did their husband have such a grown daughter? Cough cough, I'll explain later. Lu Changsheng rubbed Binger's little head to signal her to relax and then stepped forward for an intimate hug with his wives. SEA the Novel Fire, net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. A moment later, Lu Miaoge, Ling Zixiao, and others heard about Lu Changsheng's return and also came to the Lu family mansion. A daughter picked up. Hearing Lu Changsheng's words and seeing the exquisite beauty of Binger's face and her affectionate closeness with Lu Changsheng, Ling Zixiao said with a smile that was not quite a smile, "My lord sure has an extraordinary charm with women, to have picked up such a beautiful, well-behaved daughter. I wonder if you're going to pick up a few more daughters to bring home in the future?" At that remark, Lu Changsheng thought of his daughter Nangong Yao Yao in the Jin Kingdom and awkwardly smiled. How could there be so many daughters to pick up? But it's possible that he'll indeed bring another daughter home in the future. Ah. Ling Zixiao was taken aback upon hearing this. She had only thought it strange that Lu Changsheng brought a woman home and even called her his daughter, which seemed rather scandalous, so she teased him. But unexpectedly, Lu Changsheng indeed had a daughter from outside. The other women were also stunned, looking at their husband, having never heard about this. "Zixiao, do you remember Nangong Mili?" Lu Changsheng said softly. Now that he had achieved core formation, he was preparing to visit the Jin Kingdom after he finished dealing with family affairs at home, to check on his daughter Nangong Yao Yao. If possible, he would bring her back to Bihu Lake Mountain. Therefore, he briefed his wives about his plans to visit the Jin Kingdom. Nangong Mili. Ling Zixiao was shocked to hear this, her elegant face suddenly surprised. Then with an incredulous look, she exclaimed, "My lord, are you really saying that woman bore your child?" Initially, when she observed the change in Lu Changsheng's attitude towards Nangong Mili, she had her suspicions. But considering that it was difficult for a nascent soul immortal to conceive, and that Lu Changsheng merely had dual cultivation healing with Nangong Mili, it seemed impossible for pregnancy to occur, so she didn't pay much mind to it. Now, hearing Lu Changsheng's words, the memories suddenly resurfaced. Nangong Mili? Lu Miaoge, Lu Miaoyun, Chu Zhenzhen, and others were somewhat puzzled, looking at each other in confusion, having never heard this name before. Yes, indeed, that woman conceived a child back then. Lu Changsheng nodded and said, "So I plan to make a trip to the Jin Kingdom after things at home are stable, to see the child." To Jin Kingdom? Lu Miaoge, Lu Miaoyun, and Chu Zhenzhen were even more surprised. They never anticipated that their husband would have a child with another woman, and that both the woman and the child were not in Jiang country. Seeing the bewilderment in the eyes of Lu Miaoge and the others, Lu Changsheng began to recount the story about Nangong Mili. He explained that on his return from Zhouxiao Immortal City with Ling Zixiao, he encountered Meng Xiaochan and her master, and through dual cultivation, he healed the other person, which unexpectedly led to her becoming pregnant. A nascent soul immortal? Miss Xiaochan? This, Lu Miaoge, Lu Miaohuan, Lu Miaoyun, and the others had a deep impression of Meng Xiaochan. If not for her, during the battle between Qingzhou Mountain and Red Leaf Valley, the Lu family and Bai family would have never been able to take down Red Leaf Valley. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1182. But never had they imagined that their husband, during his qi refinement realm, had formed a connection with Meng Xiaochan, a foundation establishment cultivator. During the foundation establishment stage, he even managed to form a connection with Meng Xiaocan's master, a nascent soul immortal, and got her pregnant. This is simply shocking. However, upon hearing that this nascent soul immortal and Meng Xiaochan were not cultivators from Jiang country, but rather demonic path cultivators from Jin kingdom, the ladies were completely at a loss for words. It was bad enough that their husband had ties with a demonic path cultivator. He even had a child with a nascent soul immortal from the Five Poisons cult. If the other family forces found out about this, they would likely use this incident to fiercely attack their Bai Lake Mountain. Lord, the character of this true person Nangong, this child. At this moment, Ling Zixiao gently pursed her moist red lips, speaking tactfully. Expressing that Nangong Mili's character might not ensure that she keeps the child. I have a divine skill that allows me to sense the birth of this child through destiny. Lu Changxing said. He didn't delve deeper into this topic and turned to ask his wife Lu Miaoyun, Yuner, has anything happened at home recently? Lu Miaoyun promptly recounted the various matters at home over the past year. Now that the operation of Bai Lake Mountain has matured significantly and didn't require Lu Changsheng's attention, so there were no major issues. The main issue was the children at home reaching the foundation establishment stage. Presently, Lu Lingxiao, Lu Xingchen, and Lu Qingsong could assault the foundation establishment at any moment. Lu Yun and Lu Caizhen were also nearly at the peak of the 9th level of energy refinement, ready to start their foundation establishment. However, Lu Changxing had instructed before leaving that the matter of the children's foundation establishment should wait until his return. Are they currently at Bai Lake Mountain? Lu Changxing inquired. Ling Xiao and Xingchen are at Red Leaf Valley Market, Qing Song is at White Tiger Mountain, while Yuner and Caizhen are at Bai Lake Mountain, Lu Miaoyun replied softly. SEA the Novel Fire, net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Very well, have them all return later through message, Lu Changxing nodded. After finishing, thinking of his children at Qingyun sect, he continued, also, send a message for Xingyue and Yunlu to come back once. Changxing, are you preparing for them all to establish their foundations? Lu Miaoge, upon hearing this, immediately guessed what Lu Changxing was planning and spoke with some surprise. Yes. Lu Changxing nodded. Since the children's cultivation levels had reached, he wouldn't overly suppress them. In terms of continuously producing foundation establishment cultivators in the family, whether trouble would arise, Lu Changxing felt more assured after his journey to the Myriad Beasts mountain range. Changxing, we don't have so many foundation establishment elixirs at home right now. Moreover, once there appear so many foundation establishment cultivators, I'm afraid the spirit vein at home won't be able to sustain, Lu Miaoge, with a clear and gentle beauty, softly said as gentle as water. Although Bai Lake Mountain was not short of heavenly spirit fruits for refining foundation establishment elixirs, they didn't have so many auxiliary materials needed for refining foundation establishment elixirs at the moment. Moreover, the spirit vein at Bai Lake Mountain was quite strained. If it were not for the presence of Mount Summer Cave Heaven, the spiritual eye spring, and heavenly origin precious lotus, there would have been a shortage of spiritual energy. Should there be 5 more foundation establishment cultivators, even counting White Tiger Mountain and Flower Fruit Mountain, it would still be difficult to accommodate. After all, both White Tiger Mountain and Flower Fruit Mountain have second-order middle-grade spirit veins. Providing for 3 foundation establishment cultivators is just about manageable. Any more would be somewhat strained. And the resources consumed by foundation establishment cultivators in cultivation are several times those of energy refining cultivators. As the children of the Lu family grow up, marry, have children, and improve their cultivation, it has already become difficult to sustain family welfare, relying on Lu Changsheng's subsidy. If 5 more foundation establishment cultivators were added, and since these foundation establishments cannot be easily exposed, unable to develop territory for the family and generate profits in the short term, it would be a huge burden. No matter, I had some gains during my trip outside, so there's no need to worry about foundation establishment elixirs and spirit veins. Lu Changsheng, clearly understanding his wife's concerns, waved his hand and said aloud. The gains from his trip to the Myriad Beasts mountain range were enough to solve all the problems the family faced. Husband, if so many foundations were to appear in the family, and other family forces came to know of it, wouldn't it invite quite a bit of trouble? At this moment, Lu Miaoyan gently pursed her red lips and spoke. Though the family had Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven to keep breakthroughs to the foundation establishment concealed, such matters couldn't be hidden forever. Even if a foundation establishment appeared every few years, it would still be astonishing. Especially since, compared to other families, the foundation establishment cultivators of Bai Lake Mountain were already far ahead. I've already considered this issue, Lu Changxing smiled and said. Later, you spread the word that Xingrua can now skillfully use special monster cores to refine foundation establishment elixirs, and at least guarantee one successful pill. If other families have needs in this regard, they can come to our Bai Lake Mountain to refine them. Lu Changxing said in this way. A family's steady appearance of foundation establishment cultivators, besides talent, one key point is the foundation establishment elixirs. As long as the family can stably supply foundation establishment elixirs, then having a foundation establishment cultivator every few years is very normal. Refining foundation establishment elixirs, Lu Miaoyan immediately understood her husband's intentions. This was to externally show that their family had a legitimate way to obtain foundation establishment elixirs. Besides Qingyun's sect, it seems that there's no other alchemist in Qingyun region who can guarantee a successful pill when refining foundation establishment elixirs. Lord, we can first establish a reputation and public trust indicating that at this stage in refining foundation establishment elixirs, if it fails, our Bai Lake Mountain will fully compensate, thus attracting people to come and refine foundation establishment elixirs. At this moment, Ling Zixiao spoke up, smiling lightly. She was aware of her husband's alchemy skills. Not only were multiple pills being produced, but they were also largely top-grade elixir pills. Wouldn't this be too bold and invite trouble? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1183. Lu Miaoyan heard these words and hesitated to say. Once it becomes known that her family can stably refine foundation establishment elixirs, it will indeed attract the favor of many family forces. But it will also incur the wariness and be viewed as a thorn in the side by many foundation establishment clans, false core families, and even nascent soul families. He. Ling Zixiao, dressed in a blue gown and sitting with dignified elegance, chuckled lightly and said, Zhangyang? This is already quite restrained. Let's do as Zixiao suggests. Lu Changxing pondered for a moment before speaking. His family had always been concealing and hiding their strength. But the matter of his daughter's foundation establishment can't be kept a secret forever. After all, in a few years after this batch, other children in the family will need to undergo foundation establishment. Therefore, on this matter, having a reasonable explanation is sufficient. After all, such a matter will not shock or horrify the Qingyun sect so much. As for the targeting by other families, Lu Changxing has become indifferent, taking such targeting as trials for his children. After all, having cultivated his children up to foundation establishment, the path ahead must rely on their own efforts. As their father, he can't support them all the way, he can only provide some help as much as possible to make their journey smoother. Emichim. Lu Miaoyan nodded her head, also realizing that her husband was a nascent soul immortal. As long as it wasn't an assault by the beast-taming Su family, there shouldn't be any big problems. By the way, my lord, previously our family received a second-rank fire seed from 100 Cliff Mountain, she said. But this heavenly spiritual fire is immensely fierce and overwhelming, and for Shower to subdue and refine it by himself would be extremely dangerous. After discussing family affairs, Ling Zixiao turned to look at Lu Changxing and spoke of their son's matter. Oh, the family has acquired a heavenly spiritual fire suitable for Shower? Lu Changxing raised his eyebrows slightly, somewhat surprised. He had been acquiring heavenly spiritual fires for his son, Lu Lingxiao. But such things are exceptionally rare. And to find one that fits his son's dragon roar physique is even scarcer. Yes, this heavenly spiritual fire is scorching and tyrannical, filled with a sense of destruction. It's very lethal and matches the conditions you've mentioned, my lord. Thus, I've spent 24,000 spirit stones and 3 second-order top-level talismans to purchase this fire seed, she said. Ling Zixiao spoke, while taking out an icy jade porcelain bottle from her storage bag. Through the porcelain bottle, one could see a small black flame within. Lu Changxing took the jade box and opened it. Instantly, a wave of heat carrying a destructive and devastating aura spread out. TSS. Lu Changxing extended his palm, and the Thunder Gang Dragon Flame appeared, holding the Origin Flame seed in his hand and quietly experiencing its power. After a moment. Not bad, this heavenly spiritual fire is indeed good, very suitable for shower, he said with a hint of a smile in his eyes. This heavenly spiritual fire shares some similarities with his Thunder Gangyan, both being of a masculine and aggressive nature. Compared to Thunder Gangyan, it even has an additional sense of destruction. This also makes the heavenly spiritual fire unsuitable for uses such as alchemy or artifact refining. It can only serve as a divine skill for cultivators who practice fire attribute techniques. But the more violent and aggressive the flame, the more dangerous the process of subduing and refining it. Typical Foundation establishment cultivators would not dare to attempt refining this heavenly spiritual fire. And since it can't be used for alchemy and artifact refining, nascent soul cultivators aren't interested, which makes this spiritual fire rather awkward. When Shower comes back, I will help him refine this fire, said Lu Changxing, returning the fire seed to the icy jade porcelain bottle and speaking to Ling Zixiao. Although regular Foundation establishment cultivators may struggle to refine this heavenly spiritual fire, if there is a nascent soul immortal father to help refine it, it naturally becomes much simpler. This is the advantage of having family elders. My lord, thank you for your hard work, said Ling Zixiao gently. Shower is my son, no need for such words, Lu Changxing replied, holding his wife's delicate hand and speaking softly with a smile. After chatting with his wife, Lu Changxing, accompanied by several ladies and Binger, went to Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. Mount Sumeru. Lu Changxing released a series of mountain and river cauldrons filled with the spiritual vein origin. He instructed Mount Sumeru to use these spiritual vein origins to upgrade the cave heaven spirit vein. Mount Sumeru could grow through the cave heaven inside it, nurturing itself and accelerating the growth process. At this moment, Lu Changxing anticipated how much improvement Mount Sumeru would gain after the cave heaven spirit vein was elevated to the 3rd rank. Yes, Master. The ethereal voice of Mount Sumeru also carried a hint of joy at this moment. So many? Ling Zixiao looked at the mountain and river cauldrons, somewhat surprised, and asked, My lord, how many demon kings did you have to slay for these? It was mainly good fortune that led me to a large spirit vein where Binger was sleeping, Lu Changxing said as he looked at the obedient-faced Binger. She wasn't as shy as Bai Ling. However, when facing Lu Miaoge, Ling Zixiao, and others, she still felt somewhat restrained and spoke very little. Hong Lian. After that, Lu Changxing took Binger next to the medicine garden, looking at the vibrant peachwood spirit womb, and asked Hong Lian about her recent condition and whether she could discern anything about Binger. Young master, Hong Lian woke up, her voice light and elegant. She was currently at a critical moment for her spiritual embryo to take shape and couldn't be too distracted. So, for the time being, she couldn't discern any issues with Binger. Fine. Lu Changxing wasn't too concerned upon hearing this. After all, with his awakening Tai Chi soul body, his divine sense had surpassed some peak of core formation cultivators. If even he couldn't discern Binger's condition, it would be difficult for Hong Lian in her state to identify anything about Binger. She could only make some analysis based on her extensive knowledge and experience. There's a saying that a short separation is better than a honeymoon. Now that he had been away for a year, Lu Changxing naturally wanted to foster affection with his wives at home. And after core formation, there were all sorts of things to do at home, always keeping busy. Now, It was time to truly enjoy and relax, focusing the energy on childbearing. Though it was extremely difficult to bear children after core formation, the children born to those who have undergone core formation would have spiritual root talents far surpassing those of ordinary cultivators' offspring. Binger, are you tired? Lu Chongqing said, looking at Binger who clung to him like a little kitten. Daddy, I'm not tired. Binger said spiritedly. She had already slept on the way back, so she was very alert now. No, you're tired. You need to sleep, Lu Chongqing said seriously. Lord, since Binger likes you so much, let her stay by your side if she wants, Ling Zixiao said teasingly as she looked at Binger's exquisite and incredible beauty. She didn't mind having an extra little girl by her side. Sister Ling. Lu Miaoyun felt that it wasn't appropriate. Although Binger seemed to be 17 or 18, her clear and flawless eyes conveyed a sense of innocence and naivety like a child oblivious to world affairs. The idea of dual cultivation with Chongqing while such a child was around was simply improper. Okay, Binger, go to sleep. Binger somewhat bewilderingly glanced at Ling Zixiao, Lu Miaoyun, Lu Miaoge, then turned to look at Lu Chongqing and nodded her head, obediently compliant. Immediately after, Lu Chongqing brought out the crystal coffin. Good night, Daddy. Binger said reluctantly as she lay down in the coffin. Okay, Daddy will come to wake Binger up later, S.E.A. the Ovalfire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Chongqing said softly after kissing the girl's pale and cold forehead. Having spent a long time in the Myriad Beasts mountain range, he had grown quite fond of this little girl. However, seeing her naive and innocent gaze made him feel somewhat reluctant to proceed. TSK, Ling Zixiao couldn't help expressing her amazement upon seeing Binger's crystal coffin. She thought her husband's love luck was truly unrivaled. This Binger was not simple at a glance, not just any ordinary woman. Lord, what's the situation with this Binger? She inquired curiously. I don't know either, back when Lu Chongqing recounted the process of finding Binger. A third-order formation? Locking up a third-order spirit vein just to nourish her? Ling Zixiao, Lu Miaoge, Lu Miaoyun and others were utterly astonished upon hearing this. It's known that third-order spirit veins are extremely rare, let alone large third-order spirit veins. Such a large third-order spirit vein could be used to establish an immortal city right on the spot. Lord, if this third-order formation isn't completely destroyed, you could take me there to have a look, Ling Zixiao pondered for a moment and then said. On one hand, she might gain some information from the formation and array patterns. On the other hand, she has been stuck at the level of a quasi-third-order array master in her study of formation path. Advancing further required in-depth study of third-order forbidden formations or attempting to arrange a third-order formation herself. Okay, let's not talk about this now. Lu Chongqing smiled and replied, embracing his lovely wives as they entered Chongqing Hall. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1184, Being Apart Makes Reunion as Sweet as a Honeymoon. Inside Chongqing Hall, Lu Chongqing and his beloved wives engaged in numerous passionate encounters, which were filled with fervor that is beyond words. Afterward, Lu Chongqing recounted the events of his journey to the Myriad Beasts mountain range to his wives. However, to avoid worrying them, he omitted the incidents of being pursued by the Demon King and killing White Peak Immortal. Still, the recounting of his adventures brought incessant marvel and exclamations from Lu Miaoge, Lu Miaohuan, Chu Zhenjin, and the others. After all, apart from Ling Zixiao who had seen a bit of the world, the other wives seldom traveled afar. The Myriad Beasts mountain range and third-rank Demon King were only known to them through hearsay and books. When things settle down at home, your husband will take you all to visit the Myriad Beasts mountain range and the several immortal cities, Lu Chongqing said with a smile. But midway, he swallowed the rest of his sentence. Turning to Lu Miaohuan, Lu Miaoyun, and Chu Zhenjin, he softly reassured them, don't worry, I have a way to solve the issue with the heavenly longevity technique. Husband, it's all right. Husband, I think it's quite nice this way. The three women were very understanding. Nonetheless, Lu Changxing could still see a hint of sadness on the exquisite and radiant face of his wife Lu Miaohuan. She was inherently lively and somewhat playful. However, since cultivating the heavenly longevity technique, she could not leave by Lake Mountain at all. Especially in recent years, with her father Lu Yuanding aging and nearing the end of his life, she found herself unable to visit him, sometimes grieving alone. As soon as Mount Summer's transformation is complete, and I transplant your lifespan spiritual plants into Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, you'll be able to travel with Mount Sumeru. Or, once I find a cave heaven treasure capable of cultivating heaven and earth spiritual plants, you will also be free to travel without constraints, Lu Changxing warmly said. Over the years, he had gained a fair understanding of the heavenly longevity technique. In theory, with a cave heaven treasure that could sustain heaven and earth spiritual plants, and by transferring his wife's lifespan spiritual plants inside, they would be able to go out using the cave heaven treasure. CTH Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Cave Heaven Treasure. Hope glimmered in the beautiful eyes of Lu Miaohuan and Lu Miaoyun. They naturally wanted to go out and explore with Lu Changxing if it were possible. However, they both understood what the 4 words, Cave Heaven Treasure, entailed. Even common magical treasures were extremely precious, only to be owned by nascent soul immortals or false core immortals. And cave heaven treasures, being dozens of times rarer and more precious than ordinary treasures, especially one that can cultivate heaven and earth spiritual plants, were exceedingly rare and valuable. Thank you for your trouble, husband. Chu Zhenjin was the most indifferent of the 3 women. Being a super homebody, she rarely liked to go out. With her son Lu Chuanjin away on errands and the other children residing at by Lake Mountain, she didn't have many concerns or attachments. Whatever she wanted, she could simply ask her daughter Lu Caizhen or find Lu Wangshu and others to resolve it. After spending a few days of comfortable and quiet leisure time in Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven with his wives, relaxing both mind and body, Lu Changxing started to get busy with serious matters, caring for his children's well-being. Children pay respects to father. Dad, mom, aunt. Daddy. Upon learning of Lu Changsheng's return from seclusion, all the children came to greet him. Apart from Lu Lingxiao, Lu Xingchen, and Lu Qingsong, Lu Pingan was also called back by Lu Changxing. Only Lu Rui, Lu Xianji, and the 9 Netherhound were left guarding White Tiger Mountain. As for Lu Xingyue and Lu Yunlu, the 2 had taken on sect missions to the marketplace, so they did not return so quickly. Daddy, big sister said you've prepared gifts for us. As soon as the youngest daughter Lu Lingyi saw Lu Changxing, she immediately approached him affectionately and joyfully, tilting her cute little head and saying. Lu Changxing glanced at his daughter Lu Wangshu not far away. Dressed in a light pink and white dress, radiantly flawless, with her hands clasped behind her waist, she stood gracefully and looked around at the scenery outside. Hee. Lu Changxing chuckled and shook his head, then ruffled his little daughter's hair bun, laughing, of course. Come here, you can divide these spirit stones, one for each of your brothers and sisters, and one for yourself. Wow, so many spirit stones, thank you, Daddy. Lu Ling's eyes sparkled at the sight of a bunch of middle-grade spirit stones in the storage bag, and she joyfully began to distribute them. One for Big Pot, one for me. One for Brother Yun, one for me. One for Sister Caizhen, one for me. Lu Wangshu gave a thumbs up to Lu Ling's actions and commented, Xiaohe, you're really clever. Humph. Hearing this, Lu Lingyi puffed out her little chest, pride and joy painted across her face as she said, You always think I'm a dummy, but I'm not at all, most of the time, I'm super cunning. After saying that, she giggled and handed a spirit stone to Lu Wangshu, saying, One for sister, one for me. Ha. The hall immediately filled with cheerful laughter, causing Ling Zixiao, the mother, to sigh and press her forehead. Ha. Lu Changxing was also full of smiles, saying, Our Xiaohe is working so hard, what's wrong with taking a bit more for herself? In the midst of family laughter and chatter, when the conversation had subsided, Lu Changxing stood up and said, Pingan, Yuner, Caizhen, Qing Song, Xingchen, Qinsha, Shower, come with me. Yes, father. Lu Yun, Lu Caizhen, and others guessed what was coming. Lu Qinsha, hearing his own name, was a bit bewildered. Unsure why he was included, but he quickly followed. After arriving in a side hall with the others, Lu Changxing first turned to his son Lu Qinsha and said, Qinsha, I have some iron fire ants here for you, take good care of them. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1185. Amidst the conversation, he gently raised his hand and gave the iron fire ant larvae and eggs he had obtained from the myriad beasts mountain range. Iron fire ants. When Lu Qinsha heard this, his expression immediately showed surprise and delight as he bowed with hands clasped. Thank you, father. Your son will definitely cultivate these iron fire ants well. He had seen these iron fire ants on the strange insect list before. Although they were ranked quite low, the fact that they made the list meant they were not ordinary. Once they swarm in their thousands, they become very troublesome. Even foundation establishment cultivators would find it difficult to stop them. If there were tens of thousands of them, even nascent soul cultivators would have a headache. The larvae and eggs in front of him were densely packed like a round ball, estimated to be nearly 1,000 of them. If cultivated properly, allowing them to breed continuously, in the future they could definitely swarm in tens of thousands, or even hundreds of thousands. You first hatch and cultivate them normally. If there are any issues, come to me anytime. Lu Changxing said aloud. Although the iron fire ants live in a very harsh environment, with an insect nest bag and an ancient beast taming charm, it wouldn't be a problem. However, he plans to wait until the spirit vein is upgraded before planting the golden fire vine tree. Yes, father. Lu Qinsha respectfully replied. Do you have the ancient beast taming charm on you? Lu Changxing continued to ask. It's here. Lu Qinsha hurriedly handed over the ancient beast taming charm. After looking at it, Lu Changxing handed him a storage bag, saying, put all the spirit stones and spiritual materials inside this storage bag into the charm. Previously, due to limited resources, his Blackwater Jiaolong spirit weapon could only grow slowly with time. Now that he has money, he naturally plans to quickly cultivate the first batch of second-order Jiaolong Dao troops. Yes, father. Lu Qinsha obediently replied. All right, you can go back now. Notify me when the first second-order Jiaolong Dao troops appear. Lu Changxing said aloud. Your son takes his leave. In the presence of Lu Changxing, his father, Lu Qinsha still felt a certain restraint and awe. When he stepped out of the side hall and looked at the storage bag in his hand, he took a deep breath in shock. So many spirit stones, and so many crystal cores, heavenly and earthly treasures, this must be worth over 10,000 spirit stones? Lu Qinsha was extremely astonished and realized that his father seemed richer than he had imagined. But regarding these resources, he dared not have the slightest greedy thought, nor would he act on greed. In Bai Lake Mountain, he not only had Lu Changxing as a father but also a mother who was rarely seen on regular days. This mother was somewhat cold toward him, only telling him to listen more to his father's words, but every time they met, she would give him many cultivation resources. Without these, relying solely on the benefits of Bai Lake Mountain, he would not have been able to cultivate so many spiritual insects. The novel, F. Iyer. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Qinsha, here, take one, I'll take one too. At this moment, Lu Lingyi saw Lu Qinsha, handed him a spirit stone, and then put one into his own waste storage bag. Thank you, Xiaohe. Lu Qinsha grinned as he took the spirit stone. A middle-grade spirit stone is equal to 100 lower-grade spirit stones, which was not a small amount for him. But after seeing the storage bag his father gave him, he suddenly felt that this spirit stone was somewhat bland. Once I break through to foundation establishment, I should be able to quickly earn spirit stones when I go out for training, right? Lu Qinsha pondered in his heart. Hee, you're welcome. Lu Lingyi grinned and went on to share spirit stones in a cute manner, looking to see who in the family had not come to receive them and proactively distributed the spirit stones. In the side hall. Pingan, how is everything with the Commerce Association now? Lu Changxing looked at his tall and burly, handsome and rugged eldest son and asked. Father, everything is ready now. Lu Pingan's voice was deep. 6 months ago, the Lu family had already settled the establishment of the Commerce Association, and after much preparation, even had involved family holdings such as Qingzhou Mountain, 100 Birds Lake, and the Ironwood Forest. Now they were just waiting for Lu Changxing to give the go-ahead. Good, since that's the case, you can pick a time yourself. Lu Changxing stated. After speaking, he examined Lu Pingan for a moment then asked, Pingan, your 100 Refinements treasure body art should be close to breaking through, right? It should be another 2 or 3 years. Lu Pingan scratched his head and said. 2 or 3 years? Lu Changxing slightly raised his eyebrows, stepped forward and placed his palm on his son's shoulder to check the condition of his physical body. After a short while, he said, in the coming time, stay in by Lake Mountain, and father will prepare a medicinal bath for you. After bathing and receiving the blessing, you can directly break through to the 8th level. Thank you, father. Lu Pingan immediately bowed in gratitude. The 100 Refinements treasure body art at the 8th level. The others looked towards their big brother. Especially Lu Lingxiao. He was cultivating the 100 Refinements treasure body art. He knew what it meant to reach the 8th level of this cultivation technique. His big brother was only at the initial stage of foundation establishment, and his body refinement was about to reach quasi-3rd order. Take this spiritual beast. Lu Changxing handed over a beast control token and a spiritual pet bag to Lu Pingan, saying, this spiritual beast has been tamed before, but it is ferocious, filled with wildness, and taming it would require some time and effort. See if you can tame it. If you can, it will be your spiritual pet. Lu Changxing spoke. Inside was the 2nd order spiritual beast, the silver-winged golden falcon that he had acquired previously. As for this spiritual beast, Lu Changxing himself had no particular desires and was too lazy to spend time slowly refining and taming it. Currently, among his children, only Lu Pingan had the strength to tame it. It would be apt as a mount for him since he liked to travel to Rui Prefecture. Thank you, father. Lu Pingan took the spiritual pet bag, curious to see what kind of spiritual beast was inside. Suddenly he saw a majestic, elegant, and ferocious-looking falcon shining in a golden luster. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1186. Its eagle eyes were penetrating, and the lightning-like wings shimmered with a cold, silvery gloss. Lu Changxing waved his hand, signaling that he could leave, then stepped forward to check the cultivation levels of his 5 children. For Lu Lingxiao, Lu Xingchen, reaching foundation establishment would surely be no issue. It all depends on whether they can condense a suitable Dao foundation. As for Lu Yun, Lu Caizhen, and Lu Qingsong, the situation is quite dire, extremely dire. Although daughter Lu Caizhen possesses a 5th grade spiritual root, but her cultivation practice is inconsistent, fishing for 3 days and drying the nets for 2, her temperament and comprehension are quite mediocre. You all should take this time to properly adjust your condition at home. Later on your father will prepare a medicinal bath for you. After bathing, you can attempt foundation establishment, Lu Changxing declared aloud. The trip to slay the Demon King and prepare for the medicinal bath, of course, was not just for my son Lu Lingxiao, it was for everyone. It's just that in Lu Lingxiao's case, the potency of the medicine can be stronger. Yes, father. Thank you, father. Upon hearing this, joy spread across everyone's faces as they respectfully answered. Afterward, Lu Changxing inquired into any doubts they had about their cultivation and offered them guidance one by one. All right, it's just foundation establishment, no need to be too nervous. Lu Changxing waved his hand dismissively, speaking casually as he walked out of the side hall with his children. However, although he said that, Lu Yun, Lu Caizhen, and Lu Qingsong were still somewhat anxious. Usually, it's nothing much for one person to reach foundation establishment. But now, with 5 people in the family attempting foundation establishment at the same time, it would be thoroughly embarrassing if everyone else succeeded, but you failed. Moreover, it seems that there has never been a failure in foundation establishment in our family before, has there? If I became the first one in the family to fail at foundation establishment, I'm afraid it would be recorded in the family's book of shame. In the evening, Lu Changxing had the family prepare a banquet, for a family reunion dinner. Although the family has so many wives and children that a single hall could not hold them all. CTH novel, F. Iyer. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. But this kind of family banquet is mainly to let the children of the household gather together more often and share their feelings. The next day. Shower. I remember that within your vermilion bird sky scorching art there's the fire absorbing technique, correct? Lu Changxing approached his son Lu Lingxiao, ready to help him refine the heavenly spiritual fire. Right. Lu Lingxiao nodded slightly, roughly guessing what his father intended to do. His mother Ling Zixiao had previously mentioned the matter of the heavenly spiritual fire to him. Let's go, now that your father has some free time, I will help you refine the heavenly spiritual fire. Lu Changxing promptly took Lu Lingxiao to find his wife Lu Miaoge. After all, his son was only at the qi refinement realm, and refining such heavenly spiritual fire is quite dangerous, so it would be much safer with Lu Miaoge's protection. My lord, shower is only in qi refinement, shouldn't we wait until after foundation establishment to refine it? Ling Zixiao was somewhat surprised to see Lu Changxing ready to help his son refine the heavenly spiritual fire. One must know that this vein of heavenly spiritual fire is so fierce and domineering that even she dare not refine it lightly, let alone her son Lu Lingxiao. Xiao has the dragon roar physique. Refining this heavenly spiritual fire now will cleanse his marrow and shear his hair, forging an even stronger foundation. Besides, with me and Sister Miaoge watching over, nothing will go wrong, Lu Changxing smiled and said. Then, looking at Lu Miaoge, he said, Sister Miaoge, later on use the Tai True Water to protect Shower's meridians and Dantian. Lu Miaoge, with her gentle and beautiful appearance, softly smiled and answered. Thank you, father, aunt. Lu Lingxiao bowed with his hands clasped, knowing his father was forging a perfect foundation base for him. The process later might be a bit painful. Lu Changsheng's palm gently lifted, taking out a porcelain bottle containing second-rank fire seed, and spoke aloud. Father, rest assured, I can bear it. Upon hearing this, Lu Lingxiao's face immediately took on a firm expression. Good. Truly worthy of being my son, Lu Changxing. Lu Changxing laughed and released the fire seed from the ice jade porcelain bottle. The originally calm black flame burst forth with a puff and swelled up spontaneously, filling the air and sending the temperature soaring, unbearably scorching hot. Such a fearsome heavenly spiritual fire, no wonder the Ming family patriarch chose to sell this heavenly spiritual fire. A foundation establishment cultivator attempting to subdue this spiritual fire would likely face a life and death struggle. Ling Zixiao watched the fiercely burning, destructive flame and mused to herself, only then realizing that the previous containment by the ice crystal bottle had suppressed the true might of this heavenly spiritual fire. Heavenly spiritual fire. If a second-rank heavenly spiritual fire is so astonishing, how domineering must a third-rank spiritual fire be? Lu Lingxiao stepped back involuntarily in the face of the scorching wave of heat, feeling his entire body unbearably hot. Humph. Lu Changxing saw this, snorted coldly, and with long, jade-like hands, he caught the mass of black fire in his palm. Pfft. The black fire surged, filling the space and seemed ready to engulf Lu Changxing. However, with a puff from Lu Changxing's hand, a purple-red flame resembling a flood dragon erupted, causing the black flame to retreat and jump around erratically. Although such heavenly spiritual fire lacks spiritual intelligence, it still has the instinctive will of living beings. Between different heavenly spiritual fires, there exists a natural drive to devour each other. Thus, this strain of black spiritual fire felt an inherent dread in the face of the Thunder Gang dragon flame. Is this also a heavenly spiritual fire? Seeing the purple-red dragon-like flame in his father's hand, Lu Lingxiao asked with a hint of surprise and doubt. For some reason, he felt a strange, throbbing sensation from the flame in his father's hand, not fear but a kind of affinity. Yes, this too is a heavenly spiritual fire, Lu Changxing confirmed to his son. Then, he gripped the black fire seed in his hand, suppressed it with the Thunder Gang dragon flame until only a faint wisp of the fire seed's origin source remained. Sister Miaoga, Lu Changxing looked toward Lu Miaoga, signaling her to proceed. Immediately, Lu Miaoga gently raised her hand, glowing with a deep blue luster, and placed her palm on Lu Lingxiao's back. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1187, Shower. Lu Changxing looked at Lu Lingxiao, and with a slash on his palm, fresh blood flowed, then he placed the black fire seed into his hand. Hiss. Lu Lingxiao instantly felt a scorching pain in his palm, as if he had touched a red-hot branding iron, and he sharply inhaled a breath of cool air. The moment the black fire seed fell into Lu Lingxiao's hand, it instantly surged with a fierce and scorching flame, threatening to engulf Lu Lingxiao and even resisting the absorption of his blood. Humph. Seeing this, Lu Changxing channeled his yin-yang magic power and forcibly merged the black fire seed with his son's blood. As the blood merged with the fire seed, the rising black flames gradually subsided, eventually condensing into a thumb-sized red fire seed. Right after, Lu Changxing enveloped his son's body with mana, signaling him to start the next step. Yes. Lu Lingxiao's skin was red and burning hot, with sweat beads covering his forehead. He looked at the fire seed before him, hesitated for a moment, and then clenched his teeth and swallowed it. Ah! The next moment, Lu Lingxiao's eyes bulged, and his sharp-contoured handsome face immediately twisted ferociously. Pain. It was excruciating. The black fire seed entered his body and in an instant, a scorching and violent surge of black flame, like magma, poured into his limbs and bones. Had it not been for his father's mana protecting his body, he felt he would have been burnt to ashes in an instant. Even so, it still felt as if there was an additional furnace of flame within him. The intensely fierce black flames flowed like magma, burning and searing every inch of his flesh, skin, muscles, and even spiritual power, causing unbearable pain. Fortunately, there was a gentle warm current that dissipated much of the heat, sparing him from such agony. Ling Zixiao watched this scene without making a sound. But in her bright eyes, there was a bit of tension and worry. Sar the novel _fire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The process of refinement of the heavenly spiritual fire is extremely dangerous. A slight mishap could lead to backlash from the fire seed, at lightest causing severe injury or near death, at worst turning one into ashes. Like this black flame, inherently fierce and scorching, it's not something an energy refining cultivator could withstand. If it weren't for Lu Changxing, no matter how gifted, an energy refining cultivator could only dream of subduing and refining it. Shower, cultivate. Lu Changxing helped his son suppress and refine the black flame. Yes. Lu Lingxiao's voice was a bit hoarse and dry as he fully engaged the fire-absorbing technique. Hum hum hum, as the heavenly spiritual fire circulated through Lu Lingxiao's meridians, his dragon roar physique slowly woke up, with a fierce and intense yang energy rising and spreading, suppressing the black flames. However, Lu Changxing could clearly sense that this dragon roar of yang energy had flaws, and was inferior to his own. But it's still okay. Lu Changxing muttered to himself upon seeing this scene. Although the dragon roar physique had its flaws, it still had the effect it was supposed to have. Lu Lingxiao also realized that his spiritual body was helping to refine the black flames. And as the black flames circulated through his body, there seemed to be some inexplicable changes. However, at this moment, his body was so hot and prickly that he had no time to pay attention to this. And so, time trickled by. Lu Lingxiu's body was glowing red, enveloped in a fiercely hot black flame light. The yin-yang magic power steadily protected Lu Lingxiu's body, meridians, dantian, and internal organs. The Tai True water then gently nourished every inch of his flesh and skin that was tormented and scorched by the heat. It was hard to tell how much time had passed, but gradually the fire subsided. Inside Lu Lingxiu's Qi ocean core, a black fire seed slowly circled. This origin flame seed, under the fusion with dragon roar of yang energy, within the depths of its pitch-black flames, seemed to glow with a hint of gold. Lu Lingxiu gasped heavily, his mouth dry and his lips parched. However, his heart was filled with immense joy, knowing that the most painful stage had been endured. What followed was to completely refine the origin flame seed into his physical body. During this process, his 100 refinements treasure body art began to operate wildly, causing the magical treasure's origin in his chest to flow out continuously, merging into his internal organs and limbs and bones. Phew! Ling Zixiao, who was beside him, also let out a sigh of relief upon seeing her son's condition. Knowing that her son had crossed the most difficult step. Even though the next steps were still dangerous, with Lu Changsheng and Lu Miaoge being there, they were not a concern anymore. Time passed slowly. It was unclear how much time had gone by when Lu Lingxiu finally refined the black fire seed. Boom! His physical body surged with a fiercely hot, destructive, and dilapidated aura of black flames. Simultaneously, Lu Lingxiu's qi blood within his body surged like breaching rivers, forming a dazzling pillar of rainbow light, with a flow of treasure's brilliance. Lu Changsheng knew that this was his son's 100 refinements treasure body technique breaking through from the 4th layer to the 5th layer. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1188, Dad, Mother, Auntie. Lu Lingxiu's eyes opened, his pupils bursting with twin beams of golden light, emitting an overwhelmingly strong aura. His tall and upright body burned with an obscure black flame, adding a touch of coldness, majesty, and dominance to his entire being. Not bad. Lu Changsheng looked at his son's condition, nodding his head in satisfaction. Through refining the heavenly spiritual fire, not only has his son washed the marrow and shaved the hair, breaking through to the 2nd rank in body refinement, but his foundation has also advanced further. Shower, this spiritual fire has yet to be named, you should give it a name yourself. Ling Zixiao, with her bright and clear eyes, observed the black flame burning on her son's body and said with a light chuckle. There are numerous kinds of heavenly spiritual fires. Apart from a few well-known ones, most remain unnamed. After a moment of contemplation, Lu Lingxiu said, this spiritual fire brims with a sense of destruction and havoc, why not call it Devastation Flame? Devastation Flame, that's quite good. Ling Zixiao smiled faintly. Shower, you should go back and rest well for now, and after some time, you can begin challenging the foundation establishment. Lu Changsheng said to his son Lu Lingxiu. His son had just finished refining the devastation flame and was in a very weak state, needing good rest. Yes, Dad. Mother, Auntie, I take my leave. The flames on Lu Lingxiu's body slowly dissipated, his skin appeared dehydrated and somewhat cracked, like that of a shedding snake, revealing an old layer of skin. This was the physical body experiencing a transformation inside out, a true marrow cleansing, metamorphosis to a higher form. Thank you for your hard work, my lord, Miaoge. At this moment, Ling Zixiao also spoke to Lu Changsheng and Lu Miaoge. We're all family, Sister Ling, there's no need for such formalities. Lu Miaoge said with a soft smile. The group chatted with laughter for a while, then Lu Changsheng, accompanied by Ling Zixiao and Lu Miaoge, began preparing the medicinal bath. This method of concocting a medicinal bath had long been taught to Ling Zixiao and Lu Miaoge. However, this time the medicinal bath was extraordinary, using the blood essence of a 3rd-rank demon king as the main ingredient, requiring his supervision. At the same time, an announcement was made by the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family to the outside world. They stated that they possess a second-order alchemist capable of refining Foundation establishment elixirs with a special monster core and guaranteed the formation of at least one pill. If unsuccessful, the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family would provide full compensation. Not only is the refining service free, but Blue Lake Mountain Lu family is also offering cultivators, including loose cultivators, cave mansion facilities for attempting Foundation establishment. Simply provide 3,000 spirit stones or agree to serve as a visiting noble servant at Blue Lake Mountain Lu family, and you could attempt Foundation establishment there. No sooner had this news been released than it spread rapidly like a whirlwind, drawing numerous discussions. The announcement was shocking. In the entire Jiang country cultivation realm, other than the 4 great immortal sects, only Danxia Mountain and the 3 great immortal cities have such alchemists. Ordinary cultivators seeking to have Foundation establishment elixirs refined would typically need to travel to one of the 3 great immortal cities. For energy refining cultivators who have somehow gathered the materials for a Foundation establishment elixir, the journey to the 3 great immortal cities is far, and the risk of being attacked along the way is a concern. Moreover, even in the 3 great immortal cities, obtaining an audience with these alchemists and hiring someone to perform the alchemy requires the right connections and wealth. But now, with Blue Lake Mountain Lu family offering free alchemy, guaranteed pill formation, and providing a place for breakthroughs, the offer is simply enticing. Especially for some family forces. They have by chance obtained heavenly spirit fruits or special monster cores but have been afraid to visit the immortal cities. Having the option of Blue Lake Mountain Lu family nearby makes things much simpler. Nevertheless, many people remain skeptical and suspicious of the announcement. What? Blue Lake Mountain Lu family has a second-order alchemist capable of refining Foundation establishment elixirs and even guarantees at least one successful pill? No wonder Blue Lake Mountain and Qingzhou Mountain have produced several Foundation establishment great cultivators in recent years. Turns out they have such an alchemist in the family. Such a top-tier alchemist not seeking fame in the immortal cities but hiding away in the small Blue Lake Mountain Lu family? My third aunt's cousin's sister is a concubine of the Lu family patriarch, and I heard that this alchemist is also one of Lu Changsheng's concubines. What? Such an alchemist being someone's concubine? How charismatic must this Lu family patriarch be? Damn it, what kind of love luck has Lu Changsheng stumbled upon? Remember, his wife is a top-tier formation master, and now he has a top-tier alchemist. I wonder if this is true. Has any Daoist tried it out? If I go there, Blue Lake Mountain won't rob and kill me, right? If Blue Lake Mountain dares to make this announcement, it probably won't be false. Right. Blue Lake Mountain tends to act honorably, valuing reputation, and wouldn't tarnish their name for such a slight. In the vicinity of Blue Lake Mountain, countless people discussed the matter, generating a buzz about the event. And the news continued to spread, quickly reaching throughout the Qingyun region. After all, Blue Lake Mountain has quite a reputation in the Qingyun region boundary, enjoying a period of great prominence. Sarch * The Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Now that a rare alchemist capable of producing Foundation establishment elixirs had emerged in the family, they naturally attracted immediate attention. At the Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain. Refining Foundation establishment elixirs, Blue Lake Mountain Lu family does indeed have an alchemist who can refine them. Lu Yuanzhong and others thought to themselves upon hearing the news. In earlier years, when Lu Changsheng had sold Foundation establishment elixirs at a bargain, they had harbored suspicions. Refining Foundation establishment elixirs, Lu Yuanding, with his hair grayed by time, sat in the courtyard, hearing the news without much concern. To see Qingzhou Mountain reach such heights was enough for him. He was content and no longer worried about family affairs, not considering seeking any advantage from Blue Lake Mountain before death. Moreover, doing such a thing would be detrimental to the relationship between the two families. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1189. Besides, there's Qing Shan and Xianer. Lu Yuanding gazed at the figure before him, clad in green robes, with a handsome visage and the air of a humble gentleman. Lu Qingxian, his eyes old and cloudy, revealing a touch of gratified amusement. His eldest grandson, Lu Qingshan, harbored a deep affection for Qingzhou Mountain, and with him there, it was certain that the mountain would receive protection should it face great peril in the future. The young grandson before him, Lu Qingxian, had yet not come of age. But after asking his daughter Lu Miaoga, he knew this grandson possessed a third-grade spiritual root. With such talent, he believed that under Lu Changsheng's tutelage, Xianer would certainly reach foundation establishment and make significant progress in his cultivation. Given Lu Qingshuan's character, as long as there were no major breaches of principle within the family, he would not sit idly by and watch Qingzhou Mountain decline. So, not to speak of Lu Miaoga, Lu Miaohuan, Lu Miaoyun, Lu Pingan and others, just these two grandsons alone could safeguard Qingzhou Mountain for 200 years. 200 years, Lu Yuanding murmured to himself, imagining the day when his grandson, Lu Qingshan, would become a nascent soul immortal. Although the chances of Lu Qingxian, with his third-grade spiritual root, reaching core formation were slim, given his son-in-law Lu Changsheng's abilities, it was not impossible. Moreover, even if he did not become a nascent soul immortal, there was still a considerable chance he would achieve false core immortal status in the future. "Grandfather, what's the matter?" Lu Qingxian, seeing his grandfather's smiling gaze upon him, set down the book in hand and asked in a refined and elegant manner. "Nothing much, grandfather was just thinking about some happy things." "Where has Chier gone?" Lu Yuanding, his aged face full of wrinkles, chuckled as he spoke. "Sister Wang Shu came by yesterday, and sister went out to have fun with her." Lu Qingxian spoke in a gentle voice that felt as comforting as a spring breeze. Although his sister came to Qingzhou Mountain to accompany their grandfather, her active nature meant she often ran about here and there. "Xianer, you should also interact more with your siblings in the family," Lu Yuanding gently advised his grandson. 100 Birds Lake, by family. Sar the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If Blue Lake Mountain can refine foundation establishment elixirs, I wonder if there are any spare ones that our family could request. Upon hearing this news, Bai Yunyang, the Bai family ancestor, pondered to himself. Back then, when the four major families dominated and Yu family of Bai Lake Mountain was replaced by the Lu family, it has since become a renowned foundation establishment clan within the Qingyun region. Qingzhou Mountain, due to its connection with Blue Lake Mountain Lu family, now also has 3 foundation establishment cultivators as its stronghold. Wugong Ridge Jing family has been thoroughly reduced to a vassal of Yu Shui Su family. Despite their association with Blue Lake Mountain and Qingzhou Mountain and benefiting from their successes, the 100 Birds Lake Bai family has never been able to obtain a foundation establishment elixir. Over the past decades, there have been 2 people in the family who, supported by meridian protecting elixirs and foundation establishment spirit objects, attempted to achieve foundation establishment, but both failed, leaving the whole family with only him as its guardian. Now, hearing this news, he thought about swallowing his pride and appealing to the goodwill of the 2 families for a foundation establishment elixir. "Ah Ming, send a message to Feifei right away to verify this news," Bai Yunyang ordered. After saying this, he immediately stepped out of his cave mansion, adding, "No, I'll personally go to Bai Lake Mountain." Many families had similar thoughts as Bai Yunyang. They all realized that if Blue Lake Mountain had such an alchemist, they would have been secretly purchasing special monster cores over the years for refining foundation establishment elixirs. Thus, they contemplated spending spirit stones or offering heavenly and earthly treasures in exchange for a foundation establishment elixir. Golden Dragon Ridge, Jin family. Blue Lake Mountain. Upon hearing the news, the patriarch of the Jin family immediately convened a family meeting. Because he was acutely aware of the gravity of the situation. The Lu family guaranteed a successful pill formation for 1 pill. However, no one can be sure of the exact number of successful pill formations during the alchemical process. If there are 2 successful pills, one of them would belong to Blue Lake Mountain. In this case, Blue Lake Mountain would essentially have a continuous source of foundation establishment elixirs. Particularly when he learned that Blue Lake Mountain was willing to provide loose cultivators with a venue for foundation establishment, requiring only a payment of 3,000 spirit stones, or to serve as a visiting noble servant in the Lu family. Such an offer is the dream of countless loose cultivators. If this continues, within a few years, the power of Blue Lake Mountain will likely soar at a terrifying rate. Damn it, where did Lu Changxing get this top-tier alchemist from? With such an alchemist, in at most 20 years, Blue Lake Mountain will grow into a behemoth. What to do? Should we consider assassinating this alchemist? How could Lu Changxing not protect such an alchemist well? In the council hall, the Jin family's high-ranking members all wore grim expressions. Although Golden Dragon Ridge seemed to have no deep hatred with Blue Lake Mountain, their past actions of suppression and provocation had already created grudges between the two families. This enmity was almost impossible to resolve. So they all understood that once Blue Lake Mountain's strength amassed enough, they would certainly settle the old scores with the Jin family. Should we inform the family patriarch and have him make a decision? Someone suggested at that moment. No, the family patriarch is currently concentrating on nurturing his magical treasures. If he hears this news, I'm afraid it will affect his cultivation. The patriarch of the Jin family immediately rejected the suggestion. After their family patriarch was nearly overpowered by demon cultivators during his fight with Lu Changxing and his wife, he was almost beset by a heart demon. Now, just hearing anything related to Lu Changxing was enough to disturb his peace of mind. Hearing this news might truly drive him to ambush and kill Lu Changxing or that alchemist. Damn it, if only our family patriarch hadn't been killed by a demon cultivator, with 2 false core immortals from our Jin family holding the fort, we wouldn't have to fear a Blue Lake Mountain Lu family. A Jin family elder spoke bitterly. The Jin family collected resources for decades, finally waiting for Jin Zan to break through to false core, bringing the family to its peak. But before they could start reveling in their newfound status, their family patriarch was killed by a demon cultivator in Huji Ridge, resulting in severe damage to the family's vitality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know if report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1190. As the years have passed, the Jin family has still not recovered from the pain of the past. There's no hurry regarding this matter. I'll first send someone to investigate this alchemist's information to verify the situation. Moreover, it's not only our Jin family who is anxious about this. The other major families are unlikely to want to see Bai Lake Mountain continue to grow like this. The patriarch of the Jin family said in a deep voice. Indeed, Lu Changxing and his wife, Lu Miaoge, from Bai Lake Mountain, are already equivalent to a false core immortal. Nobody wants to see their family continuously produce foundation establishment cultivators. The main issue is that Lu Changxing has grown too quickly. His rise has been too smooth. In any case, we absolutely cannot allow the Lu family to continue to grow in this manner. I have heard that the Lu family has established a trade association. This move is likely also to lay the groundwork for the association. With such alchemists, countless family forces would want to form ties with Bai Lake Mountain. The senior members of the Jin family discussed animatedly, realizing that although the Lu family's news is showy, sticking out from the flock, it also brings countless benefits to the family. After all, even if all families know that Bai Lake Mountain is on the rise, as long as there are no direct conflicts of interest, no one wants to tear their face off with Bai Lake Mountain and confront them directly. CTH Novel, F. Iyer. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Ordinary foundation establishment families wouldn't concern themselves with whether Bai Lake Mountain rises or not. Now, they would only actively seek to build good relations with Bai Lake Mountain and try to gain benefits as much as they can. Moreover, with such established relations, they wouldn't provoke Bai Lake Mountain in the future and avoid bringing about the disaster of extinction. Sigh. After a long discussion among the high-ranking members of the Jin family, they realized that the most urgent concern for their family is the rise of Bai Lake Mountain, and all fell into silence. by Lake Mountain. In recent times, many family forces and even loose cultivators have been visiting by Lake Mountain to verify the matter of producing foundation establishment elixirs and possibly wishing to purchase a foundation establishment elixir. In this matter, Lu Changxing did not involve himself, instead fully delegating it to his son, Lu Xingyang. However, whenever a foundation establishment ancestor visits, Lu Miaoyun, the prominent lady of the Lu family aside from Lu Changxing, Lu Miaoge, and Ling Zixiao of the elder foundation establishment generation, would still come out to receive them. Facing these visitors, Lu Miaoyun and Lu Xingyang affirmed that everything was true. They will offer a foundation establishment cave abode to those who came to perform alchemy, provided their background is clear, and by Lake Mountain would keep it confidential. However, during the foundation establishment process, if any enemy attacks and causes the foundation establishment to fail, by Lake Mountain would not be responsible. As for those wanting to purchase a foundation establishment elixir, Lu Miaoyun uniformly declared that they had none. She very clearly understood that at this time, if the Lu family were to produce a foundation establishment elixir, countless people would swarm here, demanding the elixir for various reasons. It might even attract some bloodthirsty heretic cultivators who would come to kidnap the Lu family's disciples, among others. Taking this opportunity, Lu Miaoyun also declared that their family was in long-term acquisition of materials and spiritual objects for producing foundation establishment elixirs. And she posted a purchasing order. It indicated that if anyone had rare items listed on the purchasing order, by Lake Mountain would be willing to prioritize trading with them if they have foundation establishment elixirs in the future. Although this is akin to drawing a pie in the sky. Yet, with the allure of the foundation establishment elixirs and thinking of offering a favor, many still took note of the purchasing order content, planning to return and keep an eye out to help. Lu Changxing was not very aware of these external matters and did not pay much attention to them. After roughly preparing the medicinal bath for Lu Pingan, Lu Lingxiao, and others, he instructed Ling Zixiao to take a mountain and river cauldron to upgrade the Biyun Peak spiritual vein. Then, he went to the alchemy room to start teaching Li Xingrua how to produce foundation establishment elixirs. The news of producing foundation establishment elixirs being shared could not mean all such elixirs would be refined by him alone. Hence, it was necessary to teach Li Xingrua. In the cultivation world, few people could craft foundation establishment elixirs, not because crafting them is incredibly difficult. It's because the practice cost of foundation establishment elixirs is too high, with materials being too rare, effectively discouraging 90% of alchemists. However, Li Xingrua has decent talent in alchemy, already barely capable of producing second-order superior elixir medicines, and has seen Lu Changxing craft foundation establishment elixirs multiple times. With Lu Changxing's guidance, starting to practice now wouldn't result in too much loss. Inside the lakeside island alchemy room. 3 pill furnaces were situated, with Lu Changxing managing one furnace, directly refining 3 batches of elixir medicines. However, one batch was controlled by Li Xingrua, who observed Lu Changxing's process first and then tried it himself. With slight issues, Lu Changxing would speak out to instruct and attempt to remedy. Once the Biyun Peak spiritual vein ascends to becoming a second-order top grade, a tributary can be cultivated nearby, integrating the earthly malevolent fire vein into it, and this spirit mountain can be used to plant fire mulberry trees, golden fire vine trees, and also to construct an alchemy workshop. In this way, our family can manage to refine 9 batches of elixir medicines simultaneously. Lu Changxing stared at the pill furnace in front of him, which was fiercely burning with earth fire, contemplating inwardly. Operating 3 pill furnaces at the same time was not his limit. With his current level of divine sense, even refining 9 furnaces of elixir medicines simultaneously would not be a big problem. However, the main attribute of the Bai Lake Mountain spirit vein is water. The earth fire formation in this alchemy room at home really is limited in power, unable to support too much earth fire for the furnaces. And his Thunder Gang Dragon Flame is too fierce, only suitable for artifact refining, and not quite fit for alchemy. Xingrua, don't be nervous, this step needs to be smooth, otherwise, during the fusion process of the elixir, it's easy for the potency to become unbalanced. At this moment, Lu Changxing saw in Li Xingruo's pill furnace, under the intense flames, a Foundation establishment elixir taking on an irregular formative shape, and he spoke out to advise. While speaking, he gently lifted his palm, helping her adjust the fire intensity, and casting multiple spells to allow the medicine to bake slowly and become rounded. Now by employing the elemental sealing alchemy technique to temper the elixir, temper each time for 3 breaths, pause for 9 breaths, totaling 81 times. Lu Changxing multitasked, controlling his own pill furnace while also advising Li Xingrua. Originally when he first obtained the second-rank alchemy, although Lu Changxing's alchemy skills were very skilled, he was still unable to do this effortlessly and magically. This was entirely the effect of his enhanced cultivation level, breaking through core formation, and awakening the Tai divine soul. If he were willing to spend the time, immersing himself to further his research in alchemy and puppetry techniques to ascend to the 3rd rank wouldn't be too hard. Li Xingrua, serious and focused, nodded, but was still a bit nervous. After all, this is a Foundation establishment elixir we are talking about. One batch alone is worth tens of thousands of spirit stones. After a long time. Bang! The Foundation establishment elixirs from the 3 pill furnaces are successfully produced. In the 2 pill furnaces in front of Lu Changxing, 6 Foundation establishment elixirs appear, 3 top grade and 3 top quality. Li Xingrua, due to several issues occurring during the process, although remedied by Lu Changxing, ended up with only 2 inferior elixirs and 1 failed elixir. To be able to successfully produce 2 elixirs on your first attempt at refining Foundation establishment elixirs, Xingrua, your talent in alchemy truly is exceptional. Lu Changxing said with a chuckle. Although the inferior Foundation establishment elixirs only increase the probability of Foundation establishment by 10%. For a regular loose cultivator, they are still immensely priceless. If taken to the Red Leaf Valley market for an auction, they might fetch up to 10,000 spirit stones. So these 2 inferior Foundation establishment elixirs are not too bad of a deal. Husband, stop teasing her. Li Xingrua is well aware that she was able to preserve these 2 inferior Foundation establishment elixirs thanks to the continual corrections by Lu Changxing. Otherwise, how could she have even reached this pill formation stage? What I've said is the truth. Just a few more batches and my Xingrua will definitely be able to produce top-quality Foundation establishment elixirs. Lu Changxing's voice was gentle, with a smile on his face. Li Xingrua, looking at Lu Changxing's exceptionally handsome face, her eyes full of admiration, affection, and sweetness, softly nodded. Now that the elixirs are made, we can also start the Foundation establishment. Lu Changxing collected the Foundation establishment elixirs in his hand, exhaling softly, somewhat looking forward to the advanced draw after his 10 children's Foundation establishment. However, just at this moment, a system notification sounded in his mind. Congratulations to the host, 20 offspring have broken through the 9th level energy refinement, obtaining 1 lottery opportunity. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1191, Jiang Country, a certain small marketplace. Azure Phoenix Immortal City has a new city lord. True Immortal White Peak is suspected to have been killed by a demonic path cultivator. No wonder the bunch of sword-crazed folks from Heavenly Sword Sect are acting like they've lost their minds. A beautiful woman dressed in a black gauze skirt, with a heavenly face and a demonically enchanting figure, narrowed her long, slender phoenix eyes as she read the information on the jade slip in her hand. This woman was none other than Nangong Meili, disguised by the misty sky bead. She came to Jiang Country on a mission, thinking to settle her scores with Lu Changxing on the side. Who would have known that she would be ambushed by Heavenly Sword Sect when crossing the border of Jiang Country? If not for the misty sky bead, this exotic treasure for concealment, she almost perished en route. It was for this reason that upon entering Jiang Country, she was extremely careful and cautious, immediately contacting the undercover agents of 5 Poisons cult within Jiang Country's cultivation realm to understand the situation and find out what happened. Which power has done this, to dare commit such an act? Isn't this a slap in the face of Heavenly Sword Sect? Nangong Meili's phoenix eyes were deep and enthralling. Although she had not heard of this new city lord of Azure Phoenix Immortal City, true Immortal White Peak, she knew that anyone capable of becoming the city lord of Azure Phoenix Immortal City was definitely not simple. You should know that this immortal city is located at the border of Jiang country and Yu country. Without the consent of Heavenly Sword Sect, it would be difficult for this person to secure the position. Now that the city lord had taken office not long ago, he was killed within Jiang country's territory by a demonic path cultivator, naturally incensing Heavenly Sword Sect. Could the news about Tianyuan's secret realm originate from this power, intending to stir up trouble in Jiang country? If that's the case, the waters of Tianyuan's secret realm might be deeper than the sect hierarch has described, and at this moment, a heaven and earth net might already be prepared. Nangong merely pondered with a slightly grave expression on her face. Although she came to Jiang country mainly for Lu Changxing, she didn't want to miss the opportunity of Tianyuan's secret realm either. Even if she couldn't gain the fortunes of the secret realm, as long as she could obtain useful information, the mission could still bring her substantial benefits. After pondering for a long time, Nangong merely gently lifted her hand and another jade slip appeared, her divine sense checking the information inside. Lu Changxing, Qingyun region, master of Bihu Mountain, second-grade talisman master, second-order alchemist, cultivator at the mid-stage of foundation establishment, but relying on the inheritance of the talisman path, his strength is far beyond the ordinary, practicing the dual cultivation technique with his wife Lu Miaoga. His combat power is comparable to that of a false core immortal. He and his wife once defeated the great elder of the Jin family from Golden Dragon Ridge, who had just broken through to false core. This man has a total of 7 wives and 49 concubines. More than 200 sons and daughters, among which there is a son named Lu Qingshan, who is apprenticed under the Tianyuan true immortal of Jinyang sect in Yu country, and is one of the nascent soul seeds of Jinyang sect. Nangong merely read the jade slip with information about Lu Changsheng's appearance, and for some reason, the more she read, the more irritated she became. Her slender, jade-like hands' veins popped up, her face as cold as frost, full of chilliness. Nangong merely has always disliked sharing, preferring to monopolize everything. Even if in her heart, she had no involvement with Lu Changxing, seeing the multitude of his wives, concubines, and children, she still couldn't suppress the annoyance and discomfort welling up within her. No wonder this man hasn't come to the 5 Poisons cult to inquire over the years. Not showing half the concern for Xiao Chan, not even a single letter to care for and inquire about the situation. Turns out he has so many tender wives and beautiful concubines at home, as well as children. Such a faithless and heartless man deserves to die. Nangong Mili's eyes were like water, cold and piercing. Although she doesn't consider having dozens of wives as too many, this sort of behavior is simply irritating to her. It's like her own toy has been taken by others. Especially feeling angry about her own disciple Meng Xiaoquan's ordeal. Over the years, although she hadn't said much, she could clearly see that her disciple Meng Xiaochan was always thinking of Lu Changxing. If it wasn't for her restraining, making her disciple take care of Nangong Yao Yao for a long time, it's possible that Meng Xiaochan would have secretly run to Jiang country to find Lu Changxing by now. All men should die. Nangong merely cursed again, her stunning face like an iceberg, unspeakably cold. Afterward, Nangong merely took out the map of Jiang country's cultivation realm's power distribution, searching for the location of Bihu Mountain. When she saw the location of Bihu Mountain, her eyebrows furrowed. Bihu Mountain is so close to Qingyun sect. Nangong Mili's brows were tightly knitted. Heavenly Sword Sect is currently hunting down nascent soul immortals attracted by Tianyuan's secret realm all over the place. Jiang country's 4 great immortal sects are definitely in a state of high alert, especially since Qingyun sect is now surely on full alert. Especially with Tianyuan's secret realm located at the boundary between Qingyun sect and Luoxia sect, venturing deeply into the region controlled by Qingyun sect right now is extremely dangerous. Moreover, snatching Lu Changxing away would be easy, but it would be very difficult to leave Jiang country with him safely. Besides, the brief interaction in the past and the golden core charm, as well as this misty sky bead he nurtured for her, made her feel Lu Changxing was not simple. He is absolutely not as simple as the information recorded on this jade slip, merely at the mid-stage of foundation establishment. CTH novel_fire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. That dog of a man broke through the mid-stage of foundation establishment with my profound jade liquid back then. How could he still be at the mid-stage of foundation establishment after so many years? Nangong Mili's phoenix eyes showed a complicated emotion as she murmured to herself while gently pursing her luscious red lips. With the misty sky bead, as long as I'm extra careful, I should be safe. First, take a look at Tianyuan's secret realm. If the situation is wrong, then give up immediately, and then go to Bihu Mountain. After pondering for a long time, Nangong Mili stood up, her body wrapped in a black gauze dress, revealing a demonically charming and perfectly exquisite figure. She was born loving beauty. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report, so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1192. Even though she used the misty sky bead to disguise her appearance, her figure and face remained stunningly beautiful, enchanting all beings. Nangong Mili put on a black veil to slightly cover her unearthly beautiful face, then gracefully walked out of the cave mansion with elegant steps. By Lake Mountain. 29th level energy refinement. Upon hearing the system notification, Lu Changxing felt a surge of pure mana in his chi ocean core and couldn't help feeling emotional. For most foundation establishment families, the 9th level of energy refinement constitutes advanced combat power. Families like Qingzhou Mountain and 100 Birds Lake generally have just over a dozen cultivators at the 9th level of energy refinement. But now, among his children, there were already 20 at the 9th level of energy refinement. Who knows how many of these 20 will ultimately reach foundation establishment? Lu Changxing sighed deeply. Although no one in his family had ever failed at foundation establishment. However, he knew well that having all his children break through to foundation establishment is very difficult, nearly impossible. Like his son, Lu Yun, who had used a high-grade breakthrough elixir to advance from middle stage to late stage of energy refinement. This kind of situation affects their breakthrough to foundation establishment. Lu Yun's situation is not unique. Many of his children with low-quality spiritual roots had only managed to break through to the late stage of energy refinement by relying on high-grade breakthrough elixirs. They managed to reach the peak of qi refining before the age of 60 mostly by relying on consuming pills. After contemplating for a moment, Lu Changxing arrived at Blue Cloud Peak Summit and silently commanded, "System, draw a prize." A light red virtual roulette wheel appeared, then it swiftly began spinning. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the cultivation technique, 5 Elements Union Sutra. The reward has been sent to system space. Host can view it any time. A crystal clear jade scroll pattern appeared, accompanied by the system notification sound. A 5 Elements technique? Lu Changxing raised an eyebrow, looking towards the system space for the details of this cultivation technique. Cultivation technique, 5 Elements Union Sutra, grade, orthodox level. Description: the signature cultivation technique of the 5 Elements sect, circulating the 5 elements endlessly, gathering the great 5 Elements wheel, 5 Elements parasol, forming the 5 Elements battle formations. Just a 5 Elements technique, Lu Changxing felt immediately disinterested upon seeing this cultivation technique. Although the family needs techniques to build up its foundation. At this stage, however, the family doesn't actually need such top-tier techniques. Instead, they need more advanced, exquisite level, or even peripheral sect-level techniques. Because it's too strenuous for cultivators with lower-grade spiritual roots to cultivate orthodox-level techniques. Exquisite-level techniques are more suitable for them. Even though the 7 Luminaries' Great Freedom Sword Scripture was divided into 7 exquisite-level sword techniques. But currently, few of the Lu family disciples have the temperament compatible with the sword techniques. Therefore, Lu Changxing has always wanted a few more techniques similar to the 7 Luminary Sword Scripture. Inherit. Lu Changxing's mental spirit stirred slightly, and he applied the 5 Elements Union Sutra. Immediately, the content, key points, and insights of this technique poured into Lu Changxing's mind like enlightening nectar. After a long while, Lu Changxing opened his eyes, his face filled with joy. Good, 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 the system finally did well this time. Lu Changxing was delighted. He had just been thinking about obtaining a few techniques like the 7 luminary sword scripture. Sir, the novel Fire. Net ** website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. And this 5 Elements Union Sutra indeed seems similar to the 7 luminary sword scripture, containing 5 subsidiary techniques. They are Metal Light Essence Condensing Technique, Wood Armor Essence Condensing Technique, Heavy Water Essence Condensing Technique, Separation Fire Essence Condensing Technique, and Earth Solid Essence Condensing Technique. All these 5 techniques are exquisite level techniques. However, unlike most exquisite level techniques, these 5 can only be cultivated up to the foundation establishment stage, with no hope of core formation. To break through to core formation, one must cultivate multiple techniques. According to the cycle of the 5 elements, where metal fosters water, water fosters wood, wood fosters fire, fire fosters earth, earth fosters metal. Cultivators of the Metal Light Essence Condensing Technique, after reaching foundation establishment, can dual cultivate Black Water Essence Condensing Technique, thereby enhancing their foundational essence. Once the Black Water Essence Condensing Technique reaches great success, they can then dual cultivate Wood Armor Essence Condensing Technique to continue building their foundational essence. After dual cultivating 2 techniques, there's hope to break through to core formation. If one can cultivate all 5 techniques, forming a cycle of the 5 elements, this can significantly increase the likelihood of core formation. This is also the reason this technique makes advancing from chi refining to foundation establishment very easy, increasing the chance by 20 or 30% compared to ordinary techniques. But after reaching foundation establishment, trying to achieve core formation is as hard as ascending to heaven. Regarding core formation, with the 5 elements mana circulating, one can seamlessly switch to cultivating the 5 Elements Union Sutra. The 5 Elements sect created these 5 techniques, not only to lower the threshold of the technique so that more disciples can cultivate, but another reason is to enhance the collective combat power of the sect. After minor accomplishment in cultivating the 5 Elements Union Sutra, one can condense a 5 Elements wheel, forming a 5 Elements battle formation with cultivators who practice these 5 techniques. This kind of battle formation shares some similarities with the Taoist soldier battle formation. It could even be said that these 5 techniques are intended to train ordinary disciples as Tao soldiers, hence it's easier initially and more challenging later. If someone truly has extraordinary talent and manages to cultivate all 5 techniques to break through to core formation, the sect will naturally be willing to invest heavily in their training. Although it's almost impossible to achieve core formation while cultivating these 5 techniques, the probability of breaking through to foundation establishment from chi refining is increased by 20 or 30% compared to ordinary techniques. Even those with low-quality spiritual roots, as long as they cultivate these 5 techniques and have the aid of foundation establishment elixirs, have a 50 to 60% chance of breaking through to foundation establishment. Lu Changxing took a deep breath and slowly exhaled. This technique's advantages and disadvantages are very clear. It sacrifices the later stages for the sake of the earlier stages. Unless one has extraordinary talent and great fortune, it's nearly impossible to cultivate all 5 techniques and break through to core formation. Usually, those with such talent would not choose to cultivate these kinds of techniques. Great 5 Elements Wheel, 5 Elements Battle Formation. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know at report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1193. I've heard that when an invasion war breaks out in the cultivation world, the Immortal sects would train loose cultivators and family forces, teaching them battle formations, enabling loose cultivators to form battle formations to enhance their combat strength. Lu Changxing muttered to himself. As for battle formations, he had only heard about them and had a rough understanding, not clear on the details. Now, through this 5 Elements Union Sutra, he had gained a bit more insight. Ordinarily, a foundation establishment cultivator would have no chance of defeating a nascent soul immortal. However, a foundation establishment cultivator who cultivates the 5 Elements Union Sutra, when joined by a dozen or so cultivators practicing the 5 associated cultivation techniques to form a 5 elements battle formation, combining all their mana, might possibly contend with nascent soul immortals. If they encounter a nascent soul immortal without magical treasures or divine skills, or perhaps even a false core, it's not impossible for a reversal where foundation establishment defeats core formation. These 5 cultivation techniques can be placed in the Sutra Pavilion of the family as a priority choice for those with low-quality spiritual roots. Lu Changxing looked at the vast, misty Bai Shui lake and exhaled lightly. Core formation was, barring a miracle, an extremely remote possibility even for those with middle-grade spiritual roots, let alone low-quality ones. While cultivating this technique might sever the path to core formation, at least it would increase the odds of foundation establishment. If one can't succeed at foundation establishment, then what's the point of even talking about core formation? Moreover, Lu Changxing never felt that just by his being there, all his children could break through to foundation establishment. Even though the family isn't short on foundation establishment elixirs now, he couldn't possibly give every child multiple chances at foundation establishment. After one attempt, if foundation establishment fails, they need to rely on their efforts and performance. After all, not lacking foundation establishment elixirs doesn't mean the family has enough spirit stones for everyone to spend without limit. Besides his own children, grandchildren are also starting to cultivate, and they too need resources. He can't support everyone fully. Nor does he have the capability or the time and energy. I wonder how this 5 Elements Union Sutra compares to the legacy technique of the 5 Elements royal family. At this moment, Lu Changxing suddenly thought of the 5 Elements royal family, one of the 3 nascent soul great clans in the Jiang country. The core formation old ancestor of the Wang family had once shaken the Jiang country with the name of the 5 Elements. If someone in my family is born with a 5 Elements physique and cultivates this 5 Elements Union Sutra, wouldn't the name of the 5 Elements fall to my Lu family in the future? Lu Changxing stroked his chin, finding the idea of someone in his family shaking the world with the technique and magical powers of the 5 Elements quite amusing. Though, if that day does come, I reckon the name of the 5 Elements royal family would no longer exist. Lu Changxing chuckled lightly and shook his head. The 5 Elements royal family is in decline now. He had heard that ever since the elder ancestor of the Su family devastated their sect, their prestige plummeted. Over the years, the family's territory has been gradually encroached upon by other forces. He guessed once the core formation old ancestor of the Wang family dies, the entire family might struggle to maintain its status as a great clan. Lu Changxing went to check on his children's medicinal bath progress in the Mount Sumeru cave heaven. Lu Pingan was still undergoing the medicinal bath initiation, hoping to directly break through to the 8th level of the 100 refinements treasure body art through it. Lu Lingxiao had a very solid foundation and was still refining his body through the medicinal bath initiation. Lu Yun, Lu Caizhen, Lu Qingsong, and Lu Xingchen had already finished their medicinal bath initiation. Such medicinal bath initiations aren't necessarily better the longer they last. After reaching a certain limit, it becomes difficult to absorb more of the medicinal properties. Even more so, accumulating too much medicinal energy in the body that cannot be refined could damage oneself. Who will go first? Lu Changxing looked at his children in front of him and asked aloud. To ensure his children successfully reach foundation establishment, he would naturally lend a hand with his yin-yang origin source. But the recovery of the yin-yang origin source takes time. Therefore, foundation establishment can't be done all at once, it needs to be done one by one. The 4 looked at each other before Lu Qingsong stepped forward and said solemnly, "Father, let me go first." Good. Lu Changxing glanced at Lu Yun, Lu Caizhen, who were still somewhat nervous, and nodded. CTH Novelfire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. He then handed a top-grade foundation establishment elixir to Lu Qingsong. Even though the latter had foundation establishment elixirs given by Lu Qingshan. But those were ordinary elixirs. And as a father, he couldn't just stop providing them because his son had elixirs of his own. Thank you, father. Lu Qingsong took the foundation establishment elixir, sat cross-legged, began adjusting his condition, getting ready for foundation establishment. You can watch from the side. Lu Changsheng looked at Lu Yun and the other two and said aloud. Yes, father. The three nodded in response. Although they knew the process of foundation establishment by heart, they still wanted to see how others performed foundation establishment and the details of the process as their turn approached. So just like that, time ticked by. Lu Qingsong quietly adjusted himself. This time was quite dull. Lu Changsheng did not wait by his side but went to accompany his wives and concubines. Just asking Mount Sumeru to notify him once Lu Qingsong passed the 3 challenges of foundation establishment. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know if you report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1194, Lu Family Mansion. Husband, during these days, a total of 3 people have come to refine foundation establishment elixirs. One of them is a loose cultivator named Luo Cheng, and we are still verifying his identity information. The other 2 are from the Yen family fort and the Pashan gang of the 5 Peaks market. Lu Miaoyan reported the recent family affairs to Lu Changsheng. 3 of them, it seems they all have hidden their tracks well. Lu Changsheng laughed softly upon hearing these words. He had thought it would take half a year or so before someone would come looking to have elixirs refined. Unexpectedly, 3 people had come knocking so quickly. If the reputation and word of mouth are fully established, his family can earn a fortune by refining foundation establishment elixirs. The Yen family fort can be given priority for arrangements. Once someone in their family achieves foundation establishment, they can help us by spreading the word. Lu Changsheng continued, what kind of force is this Pashan gang? He was aware of the Yen family fort, a family force with 2 foundation establishment cultivators. But he had never heard of the Pashan gang. The Pashan gang is a loose cultivators guild in the 5 Peaks market. The leader is called Chu Kuang, a foundation establishment cultivator. The guild members are all loose cultivators who make a living by hunting demon beasts. Lu Miaoyan, with a gentle and graceful appearance, said softly. I see. Lu Changsheng nodded slightly. Such forces like the Pashan gang can be accepted for refining foundation establishment elixirs, but we will not provide a breakthrough cultivation site for them. He had a rough understanding of forces like the Pashan gang. They claim to unite for warmth, to team up to slay demons. But with such a group gathered, daily killings and robberies, including foul plays among themselves, may not be uncommon. Thus, offering them a cultivation site to break through to foundation establishment could invite unnecessary trouble. CTH Novel Fire. Net ** website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Miaoyan replied softly. At this time, Lu Changsheng thought of the 2 inferior grade foundation establishment elixirs refined by Li Xingrua and summoned his son Lu Xingyang. A moment later, Lu Xingyang arrived in the main hall. He appeared to be in his 30s, dressed in a green robe, with a refined and gentle demeanor, and greeted with a clasped fist, this son has seen father, and all the lady mothers. Xingyang, how much time is left until the Red Leaf Valley Market auction? Lu Changsheng inquired. Father, there are 7 months left. Lu Xingyang replied immediately. Moreover, with Lu Muping presiding over Red Leaf Valley Market, if any problems arose, Bihu Lake Mountain and Qingzhou Mountain could rush there at a moment's notice. Sister Wangshu, upon hearing this, Lu Xingyang's heart skipped a beat. He always felt that this sister was not so reliable. But since his father said so, he naturally had no objections and clasped his fist. Understood, your son will make the arrangements. In the blink of an eye, a month passed. During this time, Lu Changsheng mostly focused on procreation. But it was very difficult to bear offspring after core formation. Even with the 5 aggregates proliferation method, only 1 concubine was currently carrying a child. It's really not easy to have children after core formation. Lu Changsheng shook his head and sighed. At the beginning, when he just achieved core formation, he also had relations with his wives and concubines. But he did not pay much attention to it at the time. Now, after a month of focus and effort in this area, to have only conceived one child, truly made Lu Changxing shake his head. Without bloodline talent, I suppose a nascent soul immortal wishing to have a child would need to prepare for several years. Lu Changxing thought to himself, feeling that if this were the case, being able to conceive so quickly was already quite fortunate. That time with Nangong Mili was simply a stroke of amazing luck. Master. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report, so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1195. Just at this moment, the voice of Mount Sumer rang in Lu Changsheng's mind, indicating that Lu Qingsong had already passed the 3 challenges of foundation establishment and was preparing to condense his Tao foundation. Good. Upon hearing this, Lu Changxing immediately went to Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. Lu Miaoge and Lu Miaohuan were also in the cave heaven, paying close attention to Lu Qingsong's condition. Husband, father. Upon seeing Lu Changxing, they immediately called out to him. Lu Changxing nodded with a smile, then turned his gaze to Lu Qingsong, who was in the process of making his breakthrough in foundation establishment. Through the spiritual pressure vortex surrounding Lu Qingsong's body, Lu Changxing could tell that even if his son successfully established his foundation, the chances were high for a bedrock shatter foundation. This made him sigh inwardly. In his earlier years, he had given Lu Qingsong quite a number of elixir medicines and heavenly and earthly treasures to solidify his foundation. When Lu Qingshan and Lu Qingzhu returned, they also gave him many valuable items, but the effects on his foundation establishment were still far from ideal. It could only be said that this son's talent was lacking, as were his innate abilities and comprehension, and then he spent too much time on various affairs. Mount Sumeru. Lu Changxing called out, signaling Mount Sumeru to stabilize the nature's spiritual energy. Then he activated the Yin-Yang creation scripture, and from his Qi ocean core, where the Yin-Yang great path golden core spiraled, a Yin-Yang fish emerged in his palm. Qingsong, concentrate your spirit, give your all to foundation establishment. Lu Changxing spoke with a grave voice, infusing the Yin-Yang source into his son's body. Boom! The moment this Yin-Yang energies entered Lu Qingsong's body, his elixir lake in the Qi ocean core boiled furiously, the spiritual pressure around his body surged violently, and he displayed an expression of agony. Fortunately, Mount Sumeru was there to help him stabilize the nature's spiritual energy, otherwise, the spiritual energy drawn by this spiritual pressure would have exceeded the limits his body could withstand. With such poor innate foundation, not only is the effect of the Yin-Yang source hard to fully manifest, it could even backfire. Lu Changxing inwardly sighed. Back in the day, Lu Wangshu improved his Tao foundation with the help of this Yin-Yang source. But for Lu Qingsong, it was an unbearable burden. It could only be said that as he made his breakthrough to core formation, the potency of the Yin-Yang source was far too intense for ordinary people to bear. At least a without-flaw foundation is needed for the effects of this Yin-Yang source to be fully brought out. Lu Changxing murmured in his heart, his divine sense focusing on his son's foundation establishment progress. Then he placed his palm on his shoulder, using the Yin-Yang source as a medium to help him condense his Tao foundation. Just like this, time slowly passed. Half a month later, inside Lu Qingsong's Qi ocean core, a Tao foundation covered in cracks slowly took shape. The Tao foundation radiated dazzling halos, bathing Lu Qingsong's body, making his physique glisten, suffused with the spiritual pressure of foundation establishment. Success. Foundation establishment succeeded. The nearby Lu Miaoge, Lu Miaohuan, Lu Yun, and others all showed excited expressions, as if inspired. Yet in his heart, Lu Changxing sighed. SEA the Novel Fire, net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. In the past, he always criticized others for their lackluster foundation establishment. Now, his own children, one by one, had become what he once deemed unworthy of foundation establishment. Like Lu Qingsong, if it weren't for his help, it's feared that the Tao Foundation might have collapsed halfway through its condensation. If only he was a bit more capable, he could have condensed an imperfect foundation, rather than a bedrock shatter foundation. Father, Lu Qingsong opened his eyes, his face full of joy, but he looked at Lu Changxing with a hint of shame. During the foundation establishment process, he was acutely aware of the several times his Tao Foundation nearly collapsed and he almost failed the breakthrough. It was entirely due to his father using the yin-yang fish to forcefully condense his Tao Foundation. Hee, not bad, my Lu family has gained another foundation establishment cultivator. A cause for celebration indeed. Lu Changxing was not inclined to blame his son and said with a cheerful smile. After all, who wouldn't want to execute a foundation establishment well and condense a perfect foundation base? But with one's talent and capabilities being limited, one cannot ask for too much. Qingsong, congratulations on your breakthrough in foundation establishment. Congratulations, my son, on your foundation establishment. Congratulations, brother Qingsong. The people nearby voiced their congratulations. Regardless of the type of foundation base, making a breakthrough in foundation establishment is a joyous event worthy of celebration. Thank you, mother, aunt. Lu Qingsong said, then turned towards Lu Yun and the others to say, I merely went first. I wish you all an early congratulations on your successful foundation establishment, brother Yun, sister Caizhen, Xingchen, Ling Xiao. Qingsong, you've just broken through, solidify your realm well. Lu Changxing said gently. For a without flaw or perfect foundation base, once the breakthrough is made and the realm is stable, one only needs to consolidate it briefly. For such a bedrock shatter foundation base, which has just been broken through, it's important not to feel too excited or too saddened, not to use mana hastily, and to spend more time stabilizing the realm. Yes, father. Lu Qingsong nodded and quickly closed his eyes, running his cultivation technique, quietly experiencing the transformation and metamorphosis of breaking through the Tao Foundation. Lu Changxing also looked at the others, asking who would be the next to go. The four of them had already decided that Lu Lingxiao would be next. Immediately, Lu Lingxiao began his attempt at foundation establishment. He was already well prepared. After a brief moment of gathering his breath, he started the breakthrough process. The 3 challenges of foundation establishment were naturally a walk in the park for Lu Lingxiao. Previously, it took Lu Qingsong nearly a month to adjust his state and pass the 3 challenges of foundation establishment. Lu Lingxiao only took a day. This efficiency left Lu Yun, Lu Caizhen, and Lu Xingchen feeling somewhat dazed. They realized that the difference between people can sometimes be even greater than the difference between humans and monkeys. Huff, huff, huff. After passing the 3 challenges of foundation establishment, a surging tide of nature's spiritual energy converged towards Lu Lingxiao, forming a massive spiritual energy vortex. This spiritual energy vortex was 10 times that of Lu Qingsong's. No wonder there's such a big gap between foundation establishment cultivators. Lu Caizhen murmured softly. She knew there were differences in quality among foundation establishments. But she didn't have a clear understanding before. Now, witnessing the process of foundation establishment for both Lu Qingsong and Lu Lingxiao, she had a clear realization of it. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1196, Ling Xiao is a spiritual body, so his foundation differs from ordinary people. Lu Changxing spoke to his children beside him, to prevent them from being disheartened. Spiritual body. No wonder, upon hearing this, everyone's faces showed sudden enlightenment. People like Lu Xingchen and Lu Lingxiao had not participated in the ceremony to measure the spiritual roots. Therefore, even among brothers and sisters, discussions about the talent of spiritual roots were rare. Mount Sumeru. Lu Changxing called out, asking Mount Sumeru to enhance the infusion of nature's spiritual energy into Lu Lingxiao. Then, he injected the newly regenerated yin-yang source into Lu Lingxiao's body. In comparison to Lu Qingsong, Lu Lingxiao possessed a robust foundation and second-order body refining capabilities, fully capable of withstanding the beneficial effects of this origin source. Despite this, Lu Lingxiao's sharply contoured face still showed an expression of pain, his muscles glowed with a slow burn of black fire, and the dragon roar of yang energy surged. This is what is truly called foundation establishment. Watching his son in this state, Lu Changxing nodded slightly in his heart. Knowing his son Lu Lingxiao's foundation, he understood that without much interference from himself, he could condense a perfect foundation base. 3 days later. Boom! Suddenly, a torrential and boundless surge of qi blood vitality flowed within Lu Changxing, causing a rhythmic throb in his entire body, and his 100 refinements treasure body art seemed to start autonomously, breaking through to the 10th layer. Sarch * The Oval Fire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Changxing knew this was because his son Lu Pingan's 100 refinements treasure body art had broken through the 8th level, which caused his own 100 refinements treasure body art, which was already on the verge of a breakthrough, to start breaking through autonomously. He immediately asked Lu Miaoge and Ling Zixiao to look after Lu Lingxiao. He, on a whim, needed to enter closed-door cultivation for a while. Alright, I'll take care of Lingxiao here. Go, my lord. Lu Miaoge and Ling Zixiao immediately nodded in agreement. The inspirations of cultivators were mysterious and unpredictable. They could appear at any time. Capturing such moments could be very beneficial. Lu Changxing went to the Changxing Hall, within his own cave mansion, unleashed his physical restraint, and let the 100 refinements treasure body art operate autonomously. Roll. In a brief moment, within the cave mansion, endless resplendent treasure light erupted, like a volcanic explosion, shooting out from Lu Changxing's body. The cave heaven power from Mount Sumro isolated this burst of physical vitality for Lu Changxing. Otherwise, this commotion alone could flip over the Changxing Hall, affecting Lu Qingsong outside, who was consolidating his realm, and Lu Lingxiao who was making a breakthrough in foundation establishment. Roll. The qi blood roared and surged, growling incessantly, like thunderbolts from the 9 heavens exploding, rolling out and submerging the entire cave mansion. Lu Changxing could clearly see his own qi blood glowing with a golden luster, converging into his lower dantian like myriad rivers joining the sea. Then, like a pillar of a rainbow, it surged toward the middle dantian and upper dantian, causing the omnipotent and boundless dragon essence energy to hover over his head. His entire being resembled a primordial true dragon roaring, shrouded in a tide-like surge of qi blood and vitality. Clang, sounds like a symphony of golden iron and horses resonated from within Lu Changxing's body, organs producing melodious harmonies like heavenly music, bones and meridians continuously reforged under the hammering. Congratulations to the host on 10 offspring breaking through to the foundation establishment stage, obtaining bloodline effect, offspring's spiritual body inheritance rate increased by 1%, and receiving 1 advanced level lottery chance. In the midst of this process, Lu Changxing faintly heard a system notification. But he paid no attention to it, focusing solely on breaking through the 100 refinements treasure body art. Although his physical body had already reached the limit for a breakthrough, this process still required some time. Time ticked away. After half a month, Lu Changxing's eyes opened, as if they contained the rotation of the sun and the moon, emitting 2 divine beams. His body appeared flawless, his muscles gleaming and revealing a robust physique. Standing up, a layer of golden powder fell off his body. This was the impurity expelled during the breakthrough process. But such impurities could even be used to refine magic artifacts. Lu Changxing, feeling the immense increase in divine power throughout his body, extended his hand and pressed it towards the void. Bang! With a muffled sound, space slightly collapsed. Every breakthrough in body refinement brings an indescribable sense of fulfillment and security. A faint smile appeared on Lu Changxing's face. Although he knew the 10th layer of 100 refinements treasure body art wouldn't cause a qualitative change in his strength, the feeling of being filled with power from head to toe, invincible and robust, was quite delightful. After tidying up his robes and casting a cleansing technique, Lu Changxing walked out of the cave mansion. At that moment, thump, thump thump thump, Lu Changxing suddenly heard a crisp and rhythmic knocking sound. Where is this sound coming from? Lu Changxing was slightly startled. The next instant, he remembered he had picked up a daughter, whom he had forgotten for a while. He immediately went to the side hall and opened the crystal coffin. Daddy! Binger heard Lu Changxing approaching, immediately came out of the coffin, revealing about half of her head, looking at him with clear, flawless eyes, seemingly saying she had slept enough and it had been a long time. Binger, Daddy was a bit busy with some things. Lu Changxing said apologetically, picking Binger out of the coffin. It's okay, Binger was waiting for Daddy. Binger held on to Lu Changxing like a little kitten, her beautiful eyes slightly squinted, snuggling into his arms, delicately sniffing with a look of comfort. Lu Changxing looked at Binger, who was so close to him, with an expression of helplessness. He felt that he could not always let Binger sleep in the coffin, nor did he have the heart to do so. Binger's temperament seems like it will get along with Linger and Xiaohe, right? Lu Changxing thought to himself, feeling it was necessary for Binger to blend into the family. This way, when he was unavailable, she could look for Bai Ling or Lu Lingyi to play. Binger, later I'll introduce you to a few sisters. When you're bored, you can go and play with them. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1197, Lu Changxing rubbed the little head of the other party and spoke. MHM, Binger will listen to Daddy. Binger replied with an obedient and sensible expression on her face. Lu Changxing left Changxing Hall with Binger. Lu Lingxiao and Lu Qingsong were consolidating their realms. Lu Yun, Lu Caizhen, and Lu Xingchen were sitting in meditation, stabilizing their state. Yuner, Caizhen, you two break through together. Lu Changxing looked at his three children and said aloud. From the situation of Lu Qingsong just now, he could see that one of them simply couldn't withstand the yin-yang source. It would be better to split the yin-yang source in two and affect both of them at the same time. Yes, Daddy. The two of them, hearing this, nodded and began to prepare for foundation establishment. Lu Changxing then left Changxing Hall and went to the back mountain of Baiyun Peak to find his son, Lu Pingan. At this time, Lu Pingan was taming a silver-winged golden falcon. Daddy. Upon seeing Lu Changxing and Binger, Lu Pingan immediately called out. However, he was slightly surprised seeing Binger. He had never seen her before and felt that she didn't seem to have a marital relationship with his father. Emichim. Lu Changxing nodded slightly, glanced at the silver-winged golden falcon, and said, this silver-winged golden falcon can be used for traveling, but at this stage, try to avoid using it for battles in public places. Although as an Earth-grade lower demon beast, the silver-winged golden falcon wasn't particularly rare. But after all, it was stolen loot, and Lu Changxing thought it necessary to remind his son to be cautious. Lu Pingan was taken aback. Looking at the beast control token in his hand, and then at the silver-winged golden falcon, he immediately understood that this spiritual beast was probably obtained by his father from others and was considered stolen loot. I understand. Lu Pingan nodded in response. Although he knew that his father's behavior outside should not be as mild and refined as it appeared. But in his heart, such a gentlemanly image of his father, fighting and brawling with others, felt very bizarre. S.E.A. The Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Daddy, I plan to set off with the trading caravan in half a month. Lu Pingan spoke out. He had already set the date, but because of the delay due to practicing the 100 Refinements treasure body art, he wanted to set out as soon as possible. Good, be careful on the road, and if you encounter danger, there's no need to keep hiding your strength. Lu Changxing said with a smile. In his words, he handed a stone bead to Lu Pingan and said, this bead has the effect of distinguishing truth from falsehood. During your trading journey, if you encounter items you can't discern, you can rely on this bead. Right, you should also take this seeking spirit mouse with you. It can sense any treasures along the way. Lu Changxing passed the seeking spirit mouse to his son. This seeking spirit mouse now held no use for him. Having it with the caravan could serve some purpose. Seeking spirit mouse? Treasure-seeking mouse? Lu Pingan looked at the huge golden mouse in front of him, paused and said, "Daddy, can this seeking spirit mouse be used in public places?" Lu Changxing watched his son for a moment and said, "This seeking spirit mouse can be used, but be a bit more careful with this stone bead." Lu Pingan fell silent and securely put away the bead. After Lu Changxing finished giving instructions to Lu Pingan, he went to the Lu family mansion. At this moment, Ling Zixiao brought her daughter Lu Lingyi to Lu Changxing, indicating that Xiaohe wanted to go on the trading journey with Lu Pingan. And her son Lu Lingxiao also had this idea. So Ling Zixiao planned to join this trading journey herself to look after the two children. After all, she really wasn't at ease with her daughter going so far away. And Lu Lingxiao, now grown up, had only ever been active in the surrounding area. This trading journey was a good opportunity to broaden his experience and knowledge. Good. Lu Changxing looked at his wife before him, thought for a moment and then replied with a smile, "With you, Zi Xiao, accompanying them on this trading journey, I am much more at ease." Although his son Lu Lingxiao had just broken through to foundation establishment and should concentrate on cultivating techniques at home to master the foundation establishment technique. But with his son having this idea and his wife speaking up, Lu Changxing naturally wouldn't refuse. Moreover, it was indeed necessary for his children to go out more and broaden their horizons and experiences. This trading journey was a good chance for Lu Lingxiao to gain experience. With Ling Zixiao looking after them, Lu Changxing was very relieved, even more so about the journey itself. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report, so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1198. While Lu Changxing was chatting with Ling Zixiao, Lu Lingyi, looking at Binger who stood next to Lu Changxing with a delicate and dreamy appearance, asked aloud, "What's your name? How come I've never seen you before?" "My name is Binger." Binger looked at Lu Lingyi in front of her, unafraid of strangers, her voice tender and pleasant. "Binger? My name is Lu Lingyi, you can call me Xiaohe." Lu Lingyi was very outgoing and could chat with anyone on a regular day. Upon hearing that Binger was also her father's daughter, she was quite surprised. She immediately turned to Lu Changxing to ask whether this was an older sister or a younger sister. When Lu Changxing heard this question, he was actually puzzled by it. Seeing the naive and innocent look on Binger's face, he laughed and said, "She is a younger sister. Xiaohe, you must take good care of her." "Okay." Lu Lingyi immediately nodded in agreement, wanting to take Binger to play. "Daddy." Binger, holding on to Lu Changxing's wrist, had eyes filled with longing and reluctance to part. "Binger is still a bit shy, it would be good for you to interact more often." Lu Changxing spoke softly. He knew Binger wasn't actually shy. She simply had just woken up and couldn't bear to leave him. This situation required a period of adaptation. "Daddy." Seeing this, Lu Lingyi also puffed her cheeks, holding on to Lu Changxing's wrist, wanting him to accompany her to play. All right. Lu Changxing thought about how Lu Yun and Lu Caizhen would take at least half a month to go from foundation establishment to passing the third stage of foundation establishment, and replied with a smile, deciding to take Lu Lingyi and Binger out for a walk. He also planned to visit his father-in-law Lu Yuanding in Qingzhou Mountain to see his son Lu Qingxian and daughter Lu Qingqi. When Lu Changxing arrived at Qingzhou Mountain and saw the condition of his father-in-law Lu Yuanding, he sighed lightly. The other was now like a candle flickering in the wind, likely to burn out at any moment. However, the old man's spirits were somewhat lifted when he heard that Lu Changxing planned to auction a foundation establishment elixir at the Red Leaf Valley Market. 50 years ago, Qingzhou Mountain destroyed the Qin family of Red Leaf Valley and established the Red Leaf Valley Market. This market held much of his efforts. It could even be said that the Red Leaf Valley Market was a milestone for the Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain, a significant mark in the family's development process. 50 years had passed, and although the Red Leaf Valley market had developed well, it was still only a medium-sized market. Now, auctioning a foundation establishment elixir there would undoubtedly bring the market to an unprecedented prosperity. At this moment, a strong desire for survival surged in Lu Yuanding's heart. He wanted to see such glory at the Red Leaf Valley market before passing away. "Father-in-law, take good care of your health. I will come to pick you up when the time comes." Seeing this scene, Lu Changxing took out various life-extending spiritual medicines from the storage ring, helping Lu Yuanding refine them. Given his condition, these life-extending spiritual medicines actually had limited effects. They could only help maintain his vitality as much as possible, hardly extending his life. "Changxing, you've gone to expense." Lu Yuanding's voice was old and weak. It was apparent that these spiritual medicines were not cheap. However, Lu Changxing's abilities in refining these medicines' effects with his mana also astonished him, secretly thinking that his son-in-law was indeed not as simple as rumor suggested. "Father-in-law, you are being too formal." Sar the novel, F. Iyer. Enter website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Changxing smiled. "Qingxian, Qingqi." After the old man rested, Lu Changxing also inquired about his children's conditions, asking them to look after Lu Yuanding more in the days to come, then took Binger and Lu Lingyi for a walk, returning to Bai Lake Mountain. Back home, Lu Changxing asked his son Lu Xingyang to speed up the arrangements of the Red Leaf Valley market auction. If possible, to also move up the schedule. He recalled how the Lu family ancestor, before his death, wanted to see the establishment of the Red Leaf Valley market and its opening. But the old man ultimately died with regrets. Therefore, he did not want his own father-in-law to die with regrets as well. Yes. Although Lu Xingyang was unsure of what was happening, he still obediently responded. Later, Lu Changxing went to Mount Sumru Cave Heaven, checked on Lu Yun and Lu Caizhen who were starting their foundation establishment, and talked about the situation of his father-in-law with Lu Miaoge. He asked her to visit Lu Yuanding more during this time. If Lu Miaoge could use her Tai True Water, Lu Yuanding should be able to endure until the auction begins. Okay. Lu Miaoge slightly pursed her lips, her expression somewhat downcast. Over the years, she had always visited her father Lu Yuanding frequently. However, Lu Yuanding had told her to prioritize her cultivation and to go out alone as little as possible, so he gradually stopped letting her visit. Seeing his wife looking this way, Lu Changxing immediately consoled her. Afterwards, Lu Changxing arrived at the summit of Blue Cloud Peak, silently muttering to himself, "System, draw." The advanced spinner appeared. Golden light spun around. Under Lu Changxing's gaze, the golden light slowly stopped on the elixir reward section. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining Yin-Yang Integration Spirit Pill. Reward has been added to the system space. The host can check at any time. Suddenly, an elixir bottle icon emerged from the large spinner, accompanied by a system notification sound. Yin-Yang Integration Spirit Pill? Seeing this reward, Lu Changxing raised his eyebrows, thinking of the melding spirit pill he had won in a draw years ago. Immediately his mental spirit stirred, looking towards the system space. Yin-Yang Integration Spirit Pill, Grade, 5th Rank, Description. The Yin-Yang Integration Spirit Pill, consisting of a Yin and a Yang pill, when taken by a man the Yang pill, and a woman the Yin pill, after 3 days of intimacy, pregnancy is guaranteed, and the child's spiritual root talent is greatly enhanced. Guaranteed pregnancy, greatly enhances talent. What a fine item. Lu Changxing looked at the Yin-Yang Integration Spirit Pill, instantly filled with excitement. Setting aside other aspects, just the grade of this elixir made Lu Changxing feel it was extraordinary. Back in the day, a 3rd rank melding spirit pill had enabled Ling Zixiao to give birth to siblings Lu Lingxiao and Lu Lingyi. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1199, this 5th rank Yin-Yang Integration Spirit Pill, isn't it just like taking off directly? Especially after taking it, the couple would surely conceive after 3 days of intimacy, which made him think of Bai Ling, that girl, has wanted to have a child for a long time. Lu Changxing also wished to have a child with extraordinary talent with Bai Ling. However, no matter what, they just couldn't conceive. After breaking through to core formation, Lu Changxing also tried, wondering if 2 negatives could make a positive and thus achieve a direct hit to the soul. But while the idea was beautiful, reality was cruel. No matter what positions they tried, or even the 5 aggregates proliferation method, Bai Ling's belly simply did not respond. If it weren't for a medical examination showing no issue, Lu Changxing would have suspected there were problems with his body. "I'll try it with that girl Bai Ling later." Lu Changxing contemplated in his heart, deciding to take this yin-yang integration spirit pill with Bai Ling. Aside from the continued lack of pregnancy, Bai Ling's bloodline talent is also undoubtedly remarkable. Picked up by him in her early years, she didn't rely much on elixir medicines. Within just a short 15 years, she broke through to foundation establishment and condensed the Black Dragon Dao Foundation. Now, after 31 years in foundation establishment, her cultivation level is at the 6th layer. This sort of cultivation talent is hardly any less than that of a first-grade spiritual root. It's just that after so many years, Bai Ling's personality has not improved much. She is still timid and weak, very introverted, and barely noticeable on normal days. Other than cultivating, her daily life involved nurturing Black Dragon Daoist soldiers and Bai Shui Lake spiritual beasts, or occasionally taking care of the children, and she hardly ever went out. 2 days later, Lu Changxing looked at Lu Caizhen, who had passed through the 3 stages of foundation establishment, and infused part of the yin-yang source into her body, helping her to condense her Dao foundation. 2 days later, Lu Yun also successfully passed the 3 stages of foundation establishment and began to condense his Dao foundation. At this time, the disparity between spiritual roots became clear. If you talk about the foundation, comprehension, and temperament, Lu Caizhen isn't much better than Lu Yun. Even in terms of temperament, after so many years, Lu Caizhen still behaves like a child and is nowhere near as steady as Lu Yun. However, during the foundation establishment process, Lu Caizhen, with her 5th grade spiritual root, found the process much easier than Lu Yun. Of course, that was also because Lu Yun did not perform well. Despite being prepared for so long, he was still nervous and encountered stumbling blocks while condensing the Dao foundation. Sigh. Seeing this, Lu Changxing let out a deep sigh. He felt that if it went on like this, even with his own intervention, his son Lu Yun was likely to fail at foundation establishment. Indeed, after Lu Changxing forcibly condensed the Dao foundation 3 times, Lu Yun's Dao foundation still dispersed. While Lu Changxing could continue to help him forcibly condense the Dao foundation, Lu Yun's physical body, meridians, and dantian had already reached their limits. If he continued the condensation, in case of failure, it would damage his meridians and dantian. Faced with this situation, Lu Changxing stabilized his son's condition and released all the nature's spiritual energy from the Qi ocean core to avoid any harm to his son's body in case the foundation establishment failed. Father. Lu Yun's face was somewhat pale, filled with shame. 5 people in the family were undergoing foundation establishment. Lu Qingsong and Lu Lingxiao had already succeeded in foundation establishment. Lu Caizhen, judging by the looks of it, should be able to succeed. The remaining Lu Xingchen, without even thinking, one could tell that he definitely would succeed in foundation establishment. Except for himself, who failed at foundation establishment. Especially just now during the foundation establishment process, where his Dao foundation collapsed and his father helped to condense it, going back and forth 3 times. Yet even in such a situation, he still failed, which truly made him feel utterly ashamed. It's just a failure in foundation establishment, there's no need to take it so to heart. Lu Changxing said to his son in a gentle voice. This son had been the family head for many years and had become much more stable. But at his core, he was still someone lacking decisiveness and self-confidence. The bigger the event, the more it showed. Father's words are true. Sarch *, the novel Fire, Any *T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Yun lowered his head in agreement. You should know the cultivation technique your mother cultivated, right? Lu Changxing looked at his son and said thoughtfully. Although failing at foundation establishment first time provides experience, making the next attempt more likely to succeed, such things, in the end, depend on the individual. People with a poor mentality, having failed once, may face even greater pressure the next time and might even become fearful. As Lu Changxing saw it, his son Lu Yun was very likely to end up in this situation. And this son was indeed getting on in years. After he recovers, he probably only has one more chance at foundation establishment. So rather than that, it might be better to let him follow the path of the heavenly longevity technique now. The child knows, mother's cultivation technique is called the heavenly longevity technique, Lu Yun replied softly upon hearing this. In my hands are a few heaven and earth spiritual plants, choose one later and cultivate this technique, how does that sound? Lu Changxing spoke. Although this son was disappointing, he still watched him grow up from a young age and had high hopes for him. Moreover, over the years, this son had been diligent and didn't make any major mistakes, making quite a contribution to the family. The child will follow father's arrangement. After a moment of silence, Lu Yun replied softly. Good, that's settled then, you should go back and rest properly now. Lu Changxing patted his son's shoulder, smiled, and indicated he shouldn't worry too much. Thank you, father. Lu Yun bowed and walked out of the Mount Sumeru cave heaven. At this time, Lu Miaoyun and Chu Zhenjun were outside the cave heaven. Yuner. When Lu Miaoyun saw her son Lu Yun looking like this, she immediately knew that her son had failed in foundation establishment. She didn't enter the cave heaven precisely because she was worried that her presence might pressure him and affect his foundation establishment. Unexpectedly, her son still failed at foundation establishment. Mother, I've disappointed you. Lu Yun said softly. From a young age, his mother had strictly taught him, had high expectations, but his abilities were limited, and his sensitive heart led to an increasingly self-effacing personality, constantly subservient in his actions. Later, though he became the family head, with so many outstanding siblings in the family, he never got over his sense of sensitivity and inferiority. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1200 felt that his role as the family head totally relied on his mother's connections. Thus, his personality did not improve. Instead, it became even more cautious and meticulous, fearing that his actions would disappoint his parents. You are just a 7th grade spiritual root, and foundation establishment is difficult for you. Failure is normal. There will be more chances in the future, don't take it to heart. Lu Miaoyun had always known that her son's sensitive nature was related to her early teachings, and she felt somewhat guilty, softly comforting him. Father wants me to cultivate the heavenly longevity technique. Lu Yun spoke out. The heavenly longevity technique? When Lu Miaoyun and Chu Zhenjun heard this, they exchanged a look. They both cultivated this technique and naturally understood it very well, including its advantages and disadvantages. Yuner, what do you think yourself? Lu Miaoyun asked aloud. In her view, it was good for her son to be able to cultivate the heavenly longevity technique. Although after cultivating this technique, one cannot stray too far from their lifespan spiritual plant. But she believed her husband could resolve this issue in the future. Search * the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. I will listen to father. Lu Yun spoke in a low voice. He was also unsure himself. Wanted to cultivate the heavenly longevity technique, thereby attaining foundation establishment, and even potentially core formation. Yet he was also a bit lost, feeling unable to leave by Lake Mountain, and even if he attained foundation establishment or core formation, what would it really mean? He still remembered when his great-grandmother passed away, his mother couldn't visit and could only mourn alone. If he cultivated this technique, he might not have to experience parting in life or death with his parents. But, he would likely watch as his wives and children passed away one by one beside him. After all, he was aware that the conditions for cultivating such a technique were extremely stringent. The choice given by his father was a sign of favoritism towards him, and he couldn't possibly take care of everyone. You rest well first, later, Mother will explain this technique to you in detail, and then you can think it over thoroughly. Knowing that her son had just failed in foundation establishment and was currently very troubled, Lu Miaoyun said softly. Thank you, Mother. Lu Yun gave a formal bow and walked down from Baiyun Peak. At this time, Lu Miaoyun and Chu Zhenjin also entered the cave heaven. Chu Zhenjin originally wanted to enter the cave heaven to check on her daughter's foundation establishment progress. But she was always close with Lu Miaoyun. If she went in to check on Lu Caizhen while Lu Miaoyun did not check on Lu Yun, it wouldn't look good, so the two waited outside. Husband. Husband. The two women arrived at cave heaven and called out upon seeing Lu Changsheng. Miaoyun, Zhenjin, you've arrived. Lu Changsheng called out with a smile. Then he discussed the matter of his son, Lu Yun, with Lu Miaoyun. It has been tough on you, husband. Lu Miaoyun said softly. Caizhen doesn't have any problems, she was able to achieve foundation establishment. Lu Changsheng told Chu Zhenjin. With his help, as long as their children weren't of lower quality spiritual roots and didn't have too poor a mentality or foundation, they were very likely to succeed in foundation establishment. It has been tough on you, husband. Joy flickered in Chu Zhenjin's eyes. 5 days later, Lu Caizhen successfully achieved foundation establishment. Her Dao foundation, like Lu Rui's, was just barely considered as with flaw. However, for these children, Lu Changsheng's standards weren't high, foundation establishment was considered a success. Dad, Mom, Auntie. Lu Caizhen opened her eyes, her face joyful, very happy. She had never even considered foundation establishment in her early years. Felt that with her type of spiritual root, if she still harbored unrealistic hopes for foundation establishment, it was merely inviting trouble onto herself. Why not be happy every single day? But inadvertently, she took the elixir medicines her brother gave to their mother, which advanced her spiritual root to middle grade, and she saw some hope for foundation establishment. It's just her lazy nature that, despite having a 5th grade spiritual root, she only reached the peak of chi refining and started challenging foundation establishment now. However, now that she has achieved foundation establishment, there's an indescribable joy in her heart. Caizhen, congratulations on your breakthrough to foundation establishment. Caizhen, congratulations. Lu Changsheng, Lu Miaoyun, and Chu Zhenjin congratulated their daughter. It's all thanks to you, Dad and Mom. Lu Caizhen's personality resembles her mother Chu Zhenjin somewhat, characterized as laid-back and quite self-aware. After some brief chatting, Lu Changsheng asked Lu Caizhen to solidify her realm well. Then, he called Lu Xingchen over to get ready, starting his foundation establishment in 3 days. Outside by Lake Mountain. A neatly arranged caravan of pack animals, pulling several compartments and stacks of storage boxes. After so much preparation, the Lu family caravan was finally ready to set off. Xiaohe, if you want to come home, just tell Mom, and Daddy will come to pick you up. Lu Changsheng patted his little daughter's head and spoke. In his view, his daughter was following the business trip just for fun. Once the novelty wears off, she would likely get bored and want to come home. Daddy, you think I will give up halfway? Lu Lingyi was wearing a red warrior dress today, her usual buns turned into a high ponytail, looking lively and valiant. She was imitating the attire of other martial artists. Ha ha ha, Daddy will miss you, and if you miss Daddy, Daddy will come to see you. Lu Changsheng looked at his daughter's puffed cute cheeks, pinched them gently, and chuckled. Daddy, I will miss you, and when I earn spirit stones, I'll buy you a gift. Lu Lingyi, with her eyebrows curved and face delicate, said adorably. Okay, when Xiaohe comes home, Daddy will also have a gift for you. Lu Changsheng said with a smile. Binger, I will bring you a gift too. Lu Lingyi then turned to Binger next to Lu Changsheng and spoke. During this time, she had a great time with Binger, becoming playmates. The only regret was that Binger didn't want to join her on the business trip. Thank you, Xiaohe. Binger stepped forward and hugged Lu Lingyi. Hee hee. Lu Lingyi happily hugged her back. After bidding farewell to his daughter, Lu Changsheng asked Ling Zixiao, Lu Pingan, Lu Rui, and others to be cautious and to contact him immediately if something happened. Even so, Lu Changsheng was not at all worried about this business trip. With Ling Zixiao, Lu Lingxiao, Lu Lingyi, and Lu Changsheng himself not letting Lu Pingan bring the 9 Netherhound, he directly gave the 1,000 Faces puppet fox to Ling Zixiao. This would allow them to hold their ground even against a nascent soul immortal. Moments later, the pack animal caravan began its journey. This caravan, in addition to Ling Zixiao, Lu Pingan, Lu Lingxiao, Lu Rui, included 9 Lu family disciples, 3 Lu family disciples of Qingzhou Mountain, 12 apprentices of Bai Lake Mountain, and 50 innate martial artists. Their route passed from Bai Lake Mountain through 9 Dragons Market, Green River Marketplace, 5 Peaks Market, Qingyan Market, and other along the path marketplaces, including various family forces. During the process, they not only opened up trade routes and established partnerships, but they also enhanced their reputation and evaluated the market situations en route to acquire storefronts and set up business association strongholds. Originally, setting up business association strongholds was a plan for the future. However, since Lu Changsheng had gained a large amount of spirit stones and Ling Zixiao personally went on the journey, this task was handed over to Ling Zixiao to handle. I wonder how much resistance we'll encounter this time. Lu Changsheng, watching the gradually disappearing caravan, chuckled lightly. He was actually quite excited about these family forces coming to cause trouble, thus building his son Lu Pingan's renown. After all, a family can't solely depend on his and Lu Maiage's reputations to dominate, it should also have a few brave children to stand tall. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1201, compared to the news of the Red Leaf Valley Market preparing to auction off Foundation establishment elixirs, the matters of the Lu family caravan did not attract too much attention. Only a few Foundation establishment clans and false core stage families such as the Jinlong Ridge Jin family showed interest in this matter. At this moment, in Jinlong Ridge, Patriarch, the Lu family caravan has already set out, led by Lu Changsheng's wife, Ling Zixiao, and his eldest son, Lu Pingan. A member of the Jin family reported this piece of news to the Patriarch of the Jin family, Ling Zixiao. Upon hearing this, the eyes of the Patriarch of the Jin family slightly narrowed. They had long probed and understood the strength of Lu Pingan. Initial stage of Foundation establishment. Second order middle stage body refinement. With a few spiritual artifacts, his combat power is comparable to the late stage of Foundation establishment. Compared to Lu Pingan, Ling Zixiao, the lady of the Lu family, made him feel more apprehensive. Because aside from seizing Bai Lake Mountain and suppressing Xiaohe money years ago, Ling Zixiao rarely made public appearances. Her sudden departure now, especially in command of the Lu family caravan with Lu Pingan, made him feel wary and speculate about her strength. Little 4, keep a constant watch on the Lu family caravan, and report back immediately with any updates, said the Patriarch of the Jin family in a deep voice. Afterward, he convened a family meeting to inquire about others' views on this matter. Patriarch, are you saying that this caravan is led by Lu Changsheng's wife, Ling Zixiao, and Lu Pingan, who oversees White Tiger Mountain? An imposing, golden-robed elder slightly furrowed his brow and asked with a tone of surprise and uncertainty. Correct. The Patriarch of the Jin family nodded in response. Ha ha ha, ha ha ha, ha ha ha. Upon hearing this, the golden-robed elder burst into loud laughter. Great elder, why do you laugh so heartily? Someone saw this and asked the golden-robed elder. The original great elder of the Jin family was Jin Zan. But after Jin Zan's breakthrough to the false core level, he became the family's ancestor and no longer served as an elder. Thus, this golden-robed man was the current great elder of the Jin family. It's not that I'm laughing at somebody, I'm laughing at Lu Changsheng's reckless foolishness and arrogance. The golden-robed elder sneered and addressed the assembly in the council hall. I've heard the news. Lu Changsheng is planning to auction a foundation establishment elixir in the Red Leaf Valley market. By then, Lake Mountain will definitely have to concentrate most of its efforts on maintaining stability at the Red Leaf Valley market. Now, -2 foundation establishment cultivators, during this period, his by Lake Mountain, White Tiger Mountain, and Monkey Hill will be left in a state of void strength. If we seize this opportunity to strike at White Tiger Mountain and Monkey Hill, we can surely inflict severe damage on his by Lake Mountain's vitality. Even if by Lake Mountain manages to boost the fame of the Red Leaf Valley market through the auction, they will be overwhelmed with the troubles of White Tiger Mountain and Monkey Hill. The golden-robed elder shook his head and spoke. I think this Lu Changsheng has been too smooth sailing these years, thinking he has an unbreakable momentum, to the point where when he establishes a business association and caravan, he even holds a foundation establishment elixir auction, truly believing no one dares make a move against his by Lake Mountain. Could there be any trickery in Lu Changsheng's usual cautious and low-profile actions? The seventh elder of the Jin family frowned and spoke up. A trick. What kind of trick could there be? Upon hearing this, the golden-robed elder coldly snorted. Indeed, Lu Changsheng is not ordinary, but we must not diminish our own prestige and bolster others' courage. Now that Ling Zixiao and Lu Pingan have left, how many foundation establishment members are left in his Lu family? Even if they still have foundation establishment cultivators hidden away, how many could there be? At most 1 or 2. Under such circumstances, he directed most of his focus on the Red Leaf Valley market, leaving no one to oversee White Tiger Mountain and Monkey Hill. Moreover, once the Red Leaf Valley market auction commences, it would be difficult for Lu Changsheng to provide timely support. If he dares to come alone, we can even take this opportunity to invite our ancestor to set up an ambush. The golden-robed elder spoke with a chilling light in his eyes. Lu Changsheng also has a foundation establishment Dao companion in the Qinyan sect, and a younger brother-in-law who is a foundation establishment cultivator named Xia Zhaoyang. Lu Changsheng sending out Ling Zixiao and Lu Pingan, he must have taken his precautions, and may invite these two to come and support him. At this point, another elder of the Jin family spoke up. True, this Xia Zhaoyang holds a position as an executor in the Qinyan sect's enforcement hall. If our family covertly makes a move and he learns of it, reporting it to the Qinyan sect's enforcement hall would be very troublesome, the patriarch of the Jin family agreed, nodding. Although the great elder said not to crush our own prestige or boost the morale of others, see th novel, F. Iyer. Enter website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The patriarch of the Jin family had kept an eye on the situation of Lu Changsheng over the years and felt that the other party was not such a reckless person. If this won't do and that won't do, are we to just watch his by Lake Mountain rise? If this Red Leaf Valley market auction goes smoothly, our family's market will inevitably lose a lot of resident cultivators. Moreover, by Lu Changsheng taking out a foundation establishment elixir for auction at this time, he is clearly aiming to solidify the reputation and credibility of refining foundation establishment elixirs. If his by Lake Mountain monopolizes all the shares of refining foundation establishment elixirs in the Qinyan region, who could stop the rise of his by Lake Mountain? The great elder said, frustrated and disappointed. Considering themselves a false core family above the small by Lake Mountain, the fact that they were being so cautious and restrained made him feel extremely stifled. Great elder, please calm down. Though the plan is feasible, our family can't afford any more setbacks right now. We must deliberate long-term, and proceed with caution, the patriarch of the Jin family spoke with a bitter smile. In the end, the meeting split into 2 factions. One faction advocated for taking decisive action, while the other suggested cautiously observing the situation of by Lake Mountain, slowly testing the waters and waiting for the right opportunity. Apart from the Jinlong Ridge Jin family, several other top-tier foundation establishment families and 5 false core families are also closely watching the situation of the Lu family caravan, ready to strike and suppress them. After all, the establishment of a business association by Lake Mountain is the same as stealing meat from their mouths. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1202. Since one wants to compete for resources, naturally one must possess sufficient strength. Although Lu Changsheng and Lu Miaoge currently have combat capabilities comparable to a false core immortal, they can be considered as such. However, when it comes to such matters, not only is the top-tier combat power important, but also the overall strength of the family. At least in the eyes of those false core stage families, Lake Mountain is still not qualified to be listed alongside them. Even deep down, they look down on Lake Mountain with a degree of contempt and disdain. They think that a mere family that has risen only in the past few decades, without any foundation or heritage, is delusionally trying to compete with them. They plan to use this opportunity to give Lake Mountain a harsh lesson, to let them continue to stay honestly and subserviently at Lake Mountain. Lake Mountain. Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. Hoo, the spiritual energy of nature surges wildly, forming a vortex of spiritual energy. Lu Changsheng and Xia Zizhu watch from not far away, as Lu Xingchen, seated in the lotus position, is in the midst of foundation establishment. This son has a third-grade spiritual root, and he possesses decent talent in alchemy, preparing to follow the path of an alchemist. But at the current stage, he is mainly focusing on cultivation, having just advanced to a first-grade high-quality alchemist. However, in terms of cultivation technique, he has already switched to practicing the Cauldron Medical King's scripture. After foundation establishment, he will be able to devote more time and energy to alchemy. After a long while. A flawless Tao foundation, not bad. Lu Changsheng, looking at his son's condition, nods slightly. Although this son has a third-grade spiritual root, his talent and comprehension are only average, not much better than his son Lu Qingshuan's foundation. A flawless Tao foundation is already the limit. Unless there is a great opportunity, there is no hope for a perfect foundation base. Father, mother. Lu Xingchen opens his eyes and calls out. With Lu Qingsong, Lu Lingxiao, and Lu Caizhen having established their foundations earlier, Lu Xingchen is not too excited at the moment, but simply filled with joy. After all, from a young age, they have been raised listening to the stories of foundation establishment ancestors and foundation establishment great cultivators. The greatest wish of the mother in the household is to hope that they will one day become foundation establishment great cultivators. Now breaking through to foundation establishment, there is bound to be a sense of joy. Xingchen, congratulations on your foundation establishment. Lu Changsheng says with a smile. Now that his son has broken through to foundation establishment, as long as he spends more time and effort on alchemy, he will be able to advance to the second-order alchemist. Xingchen, congratulations on your breakthrough to foundation establishment. Xia Zizhu, extremely excited at this moment, her eyes brimming with tears, cries with overwhelming joy. At one time, foundation establishment seemed unreachable to her. But now, not only she, but her younger brother Xia Zhaoyang has also broken through to foundation establishment. And her son Lu Xingchen has also achieved foundation establishment. Once her daughter Lu Xingyue returns from her sect mission, she also has a chance to hit foundation establishment. Her son Lu Xingyang with a 5th-grade spiritual root, as long as he cultivates diligently, also holds the potential for foundation establishment in the future. With 2 other children, each with a 4th and 5th-grade spiritual root, there is hope for foundation establishment in the future as long as they cultivate diligently. At this moment, she feels her life is complete. Zizhu, Xingchen could achieve today's breakthrough thanks to your years of caring and teaching. You have worked hard. Lu Changsheng holds Xia Zizhu's hand and says softly. Husband, it's not hard work. Being able to meet you is the luckiest thing in Zizhu's life, Xia Zizhu says softly with teary eyes, her heart filled with deep affection and gratitude for Lu Changsheng. She knows that without Lu Changxing, it would be difficult for her and her younger brother to have such a life today. Xingchen, you work on consolidating your realm, Lu Changxing tells his son, then goes to properly comfort Xia Zizhu. Xia Zizhu, with a spirit-nurturing physique, now that he has achieved core formation, it's possible that her sixth child might bring a few surprises. Several days later. After consoling Xia Zizhu, Lu Changxing goes to find Bai Ling at Bai Shui Lake. Planning to spend some quality time with the girl Bai Ling next, and also to use the yin-yang integration spirit pill. Daddy. Binger, who was left in Bai Ling's care by Lu Changxing, immediately yells with delight upon seeing him. Big brother. Bai Ling, in a snow-white dress, with a delicate and pure face, and flawless fair skin, shines with a holy beauty under the sunlight. However, her eyes, clear black and white like peach blossoms, radiate a dreamy and alluring charm that makes one's heart throb and involuntarily intoxicated. Both girls, each in a snow-white dress, possess world-class stunning beauty, and standing together, they resemble a pair of sisters, making even the heavens and earth appear somewhat dim in comparison. CTH Ovalfire. @ website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. But upon seeing Lu Changxing, Binger immediately lets go of Bai Ling and affectionately clings to him. Her pale and gorgeous face reveals a shallow, adorable dimple. Daddy. Binger calls out, her tender, innocent eyes sparkling like black gems, gleaming with a radiant, beautiful luster. Despite it being only a few days apart, she seems to have been separated from Lu Changxing for many years, her eyes full of longing. Binger. Lu Changxing fondly ruffles the girl's hair, then turns to Bai Ling and calls out tenderly, "Little Linger." Bai Ling immediately comes obediently and endearingly into Lu Changxing's embrace. A moment later, Lu Changxing watches Bai Ling feeding the aquatic spiritual beasts at home. Over the years, Lu Changxing no longer relies on breeding spiritual beasts for income. Because to earn money in this area, one must personally cultivate the feed for the spiritual beasts and refine pills to accelerate their growth. This process, if done through purchasing, tends to have high costs. And breeding spiritual beasts takes too long, even for simple growth, it requires years, or even decades. It can only be said that if a family business wants to make money, it must grow on a large scale. Otherwise, there is hardly any competitive strength. Binger, are you tired? At this moment, Lu Changxing asks Binger. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1203, Daddy, Binger is not sleepy. Binger immediately looked aggrieved, her pale pink lips pouting. Her clear, tender eyes seemed veiled in a layer of mist, as if tears were about to fall. All right, not sleepy, not sleepy. Lu Changxing, who always had a softer spot for gentleness than sternness, couldn't help but feel tender-hearted at the pitiful sight of Binger. Subsequently, he tried to hand Binger over to Lu Miaoyun, Chu Zhenjin. But at that moment, Binger simply did not want to leave him. Faced with this situation, Lu Changxing was somewhat at a loss. It felt as if, by picking up Binger, it was like a couple having a child, needing to be cautious. Or should I just resolve to be utterly heartless? Lu Changxing gazed at Binger's delicate features, evil thoughts momentarily arising in his heart. Sarch * the novel Fire. Net * website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Although he wasn't sure about Binger's condition, he knew that the Binger before him was very extraordinary, exceedingly so. If it were possible for her to bear a child, the offspring would definitely be extraordinary. However, Binger's situation was special, her body was like a yin corpse, and it was uncertain whether she could have children. Daddy. Binger, seeing Lu Changxing looking at her, immediately called out affectionately, her voice tender and innocent. Seeing this, Lu Changxing's indecent thoughts dissipated. He decided to nurture her for a while longer until she understood more. Otherwise, seeing her gaze now made him unable to proceed. After a long time, Lu Changxing felt that this was not a solution either. He spoke out loud, "Binger, Daddy is going to sleep now, do you want to join?" Since Binger wanted to stay close, let her stay, it didn't interfere anyway. MHM, Binger will join Daddy. Binger blinked her eyes, which shone like black gems, showing no aversion at all. That night, the room was completely silent. Binger, lulled to sleep by Lu Changxing, lay on the bed like a delicate porcelain doll. Her black, beautiful hair spread out on the pillow, her body covered with a thin blanket, and her pale, exquisitely beautiful figure indescribably graceful. Especially the two beautiful legs revealed from the lower half, straight and slender with beautiful curves, and her toes clear and translucent. The only imperfection might be that her skin was too pale, even somewhat ghastly pale. Lu Changxing quietly watched the sleeping girl before him, recalling how he unearthed her from the earth veins, feeling a surreal, unreal sensation. Perhaps sensing Lu Changxing's gaze, Binger's long eyelashes quivered slightly, slowly opening her eyes. Seeing Lu Changxing watching her, she immediately smiled joyfully, unconsciously murmured, "Daddy," and then closed her eyes, as if having a beautiful dream. Bai Ling, standing beside, watched Binger with maternal grace flowing in her eyes. She envied that all the wives and concubines in the family had given birth to children. Since she had been unable to conceive, she often helped with the children on normal days to compensate for her regret. This caused her, despite her immature personality, to exude a certain maternal glow. "Little Linger, it's all right, just take this elixir medicine, and then you will be able to conceive." Lu Changxing, after watching Binger for a while, set up a barrier around her, looked towards Bai Ling standing beside him, softly saying as he took out the Yin-Yang Integration Spirit Pill. This bottle of Yin-Yang Integration Spirit Pill was divided into Yin Elixir and Yang Elixir. Aside from aiding in conception, it also had some benefits for both the male and female participants. Because a child's talent is not only related to the parent's talents but also to the parent's physical conditions. These two pills would allow both individuals to reach their current peak condition. However, the effect of the Yin elixir is far superior to that of the Yang elixir. Because in matters of conceiving and bearing children, the mother has a greater influence on the child's talent. Thus, the Yin elixir, while enhancing the child's spiritual root talent, also indirectly nourishes the mother's body. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible. You're tuning in to the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.